from the US. And then the relays gossip to relays, and then they then talk to all the nodes that are connected to them. So if you, when a node, if you submit a transaction to your node, it's going to then send that to all the relays it's connected to, all four. Those relays are going to then pass that on to all of their relays and to all of their connected nodes. So very quickly, in a couple hops, that's getting distributed across the world. But the key is, it's not like you're talking to a specific relay. You could be talking to who knows which relay. The thing is they just have to make sure that the relays are scaled out with the node network.
So the relay node's getting fees off of, are they like for, I'm trying to understand, like what's
there are no fees that are passed on. So right now, like every transaction, there's a minimum number of micro algos per transaction. So it's 1,000 micro algos, which is 0.001 algo, is the minimum fee. But the reality is, and this is kind of gets into the Solana issue, one of the problems with Solana, aside from the fact that they have 90 plus 95% or whatever of all transactions on Solana are just consensus messages. They're not actually transactions. Right. It's like they put on the chain like the validators talking about, like figuring out what to do, and what's correct and what's not.
So my question is,
the issue is Solana doesn't handle like spam.
Right.
And Algorand, the fee, when I say that's the minimum fee, the reality is the real fee is actually like a fee per byte. And so it's really, really low though. And so the fee per byte ends up being such that it's always below 1,000 micro algo. But what will happen is, as Algorand gets busier, if the blocks start getting full, like once a pending block exceeds like 50% of its capacity, then the fee per byte value starts cranking. I'll have to like look at the calculation. I think it might even be exponential. But the fee per byte will start going up. And so then what will happen is that fairly quickly, say 60, 65, 70% sort of thing, like you might start seeing the actual required fee go above the minimum. So now all of a sudden, if you submit an Algorand transaction and say 0.001 is your fee, it'll fail. And it won't even go out across the network. Right?
Hey, Patrick,
Solana is spamming everything, and they can't handle it. Yeah, go ahead.
Patrick, is that actually programmed in yet?
Oh yeah, it's already there. It's been there for, I think, darn near forever.
Okay.
So I mean, submitters have to kind of be aware. I mean, I think what would happen is you'd fail, and that's why you have your first and last valid of 1,000 blocks. You could just retry, and then it would go through when there was less congestion. But you'd have an hour and 20 minutes or so to get that through. But I mean, the reality is, if someone tries to spam, then it's going to cost them a lot of money if they actually want it to go across the network.
So let me ask this. So the relay nodes, what's the incentive to run a relay node right now?
Right now, the incentive is the foundation pays you.
Okay.
Right.
So that aside, so they're not getting a fee, but they're getting paid
monetarily. If we talk monetary,
obviously
there are incentives, right? Like if you have a vested interest in Algorand, then obviously there's other incentives. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing. There's obviously other incentives to running nodes. Like I run nodes, and I'm not being paid to run them. There are other reasons to run nodes. Just so there could be reasons to run relays, but the cost for a relay is very real compared to just running like a non-archival node. So that is, I think long term, that actually is. And
so the question is like, what is the incentive? Like, again, I've been talking to people about this a little bit. I don't quite comprehend everything, but I want to try to understand it. So, for example, what is it gated right now? Can anybody stand up a relay node? That's kind of my question,
So here be nuance. Okay. Technically, anyone can run a relay node. The Algorand node, the Algo service, is everything. It is a relay. It is a non-relay. archival, non-archival. It's the same code. The only distinction is whether you set a flag of saying, hey, treat me like a relay. So anyone can run a relay. Anyone can run, and it's just a flag whether or not you're a relay or not. If it's a relay, it's automatically, it's required to be a full archival node. And then if you're a relay, then you have to accept connections from nodes. The distinction, the issue is that as a part of bootstrapping a node, like when I start up a node on any blockchain, there has to be some mechanism when I start a node of saying, hey, how do I find other nodes on the network? Like there has to be some discovery mechanism to find other nodes and for them all to connect to each other. And so that bootstrapping is typically is actually in a sense centralized for all of them, right? Like Avalanche has hard-coded IP addresses of like here connected these like master nodes, and then they will have collected a list of all the things that have connected collectively, and then we'll just get it from them once we're connected. But it has to have some initial set of nodes to connect to that it trusts to be there. The way the AlgoFam node works is quite flexible. You can configure a node to connect to things you specify on the command line. You can have a JSON, what they call a phone book file, of a list of relays to connect to. And if those aren't defined, then the default is it looks up a DNS record, a DNS SRV record, which is a list of return list of values, and that DNS record is maintained by the foundation. So basically, the default is it needs to find the list of all the relays, and the default is it will go to a DNS record that the foundation maintains that here's this list of official relays. But the key is, that's why I'm saying it's nuanced, is the fact that technically anyone can run a relay. Like, if like, let's say for some crazy reason, let's just say that collectively the community owned, 80% of all Algo. And then we could say, hey guys, we're going to kind of fork off, create our own completely independent relay network. And we're going to use, I don't know, this Discord channel to communicate the list of all these relay hosts names, right? Then you could have everyone change their nodes to use that list of relays in the config file, right? And if you had enough stake, you could completely switch the network over. And there's nothing anyone could do about it if you had enough stake, right? So that's why people say it's all centralized. No, by design, it's not. It's just that you have this bootstrapping mechanism that is maintained by the foundation, but anyone can still run a relay. Does that make sense?
I'm starting to get there. I'm just trying to wrap my head around like the benefits of, like, let's say, like we were talking about a DGen or other Discords, like standing up, a node, like how would that benefit the community? I'm just trying to comprehend the whole entire. Yeah, I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more like a community good, right? It's a community service. It's a combination of things, right? Like if you have an application, then you want to, so there's multiple reasons, right? Like as a user, you might be like, hey, I want to be able to submit my transactions to the network and have full autonomy. Like no one can restrict or control my ability to submit transactions, right? If you're going through someone else's node, then they could technically block you, right? Well, if you run your own node, well, good luck, right? So there's the full self custody, and an autonomy aspect of it. There's being able to use the node for analysis off chain if you want to do it on a full archival node. There's wanting to help with the decentralization and make sure that you have many nodes, hopefully many nodes that are also voting, and so you don't have distinct points of control on the network. And then for the relays, it's just a matter of you know, I think the issue there is because there is a lot more real cost there, because particularly of the amount of data transmitted. If you're running in a cloud environment, then your egress costs can start to ding you, and then plus the amount of storage you need about probably about 2 terabytes right now, I would say, which isn't too bad, but it starts to you're probably costing about $1,000 a month right now for a relay, I would guess. So I think in the future it will be an issue that they'll probably need to be some kind of incentive, at least for relays. And I think as right now, all fees go to what's called a fee sink. So basically, all fees go to a specific Algorand account,
Yep.
and effectively are burned. They're effectively burned because they're not accessible. In the code, hard coded, the only thing that can be done with a fee sink is that it can be spent or sent, I should say, but it can only be sent to the reward account. So the account that pays out participation rewards.
Governance, or okay, oh, that one, okay.
Well, yeah, it's participation rewards. So in the code today, and of course it can be changed through consensus change, but in the code, the only place the fee sink can be spent is the participation rewards. So they could potentially have like some kind of like periodic shunting where it like moves the fees over to the participation pool, and then the people automatically get rewards like they did before, but it'd be based on however much had come over from fees. So that's because it's a closed loop. It's a fixed 10 billion cap. At a certain point, the fees are the only way of getting Algo back into the system, right? It's a matter of like, does that go to the reward pool to be distributed to everyone, or do you do something where it goes to a different pool to reward, say, just relay nodes, right? But these are issues that really aren't an issue for a fair number of years.
In theory, you could have the fee sink pay relay node runners in the future. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that would create kind of like a mining structure on Algorand that doesn't use proof of work.
Yeah. I mean, there's other, it's like other proof of stake chains. Then the notion of what staking is you locking up your token as a part of running a node, and you're rewarded either in inflation of the chain to you, but only to you, or you're rewarded in I would say like the closest, because Avalanche is also a capped coin, but it basically kind of works as I was mentioning, where there's this slightly more nuance, but it's basically the same thing. Like an Avalanche, when the fees of every transaction are technically burned, but every when all the rewards given to the staked nodes are minted. So it mints new coin to reward the staked nodes. It burns fees, but it can never exceed its cap. So basically, like the minting like ratio is based on how close it is to the cap. And then the stakers get the longer they lock their stake, the higher their percentage of return. But it still ends up being the same as if you took your fee sink and just paid out a certain smaller group, whether it be like XGovs in the future or like relay runners. But I think from some of the things I've seen from the foundation, it could be something where it's a little more nuanced, where it's like you're paying a particular class of governors, but in order to even be considered a certain class of governor, you also have to run X nodes, right?
I feel like creating an incentive for people to run nodes could be a strategy to accelerate adoption of the blockchain, because it'll bring different types of actors into the system, and then they will be incentivizing people and trying to get people to use Algorand in order to have more transactions and higher fees.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing of like running nodes as like a profit structure is, I think, is ugly, right? Um, because yeah, I mean, it definitely, something we talked about a lot is it's how do you prevent mass centralization? Because where there is a real profit motive to doing something like that, then you're going to have you know bigger entities um, have more of a say in that, and you're going to just end up, like just like with Bitcoin, right? Like you have, certain mining pools that are effectively pretty centralized, and I think that's you're already seeing it. I think with ETH too, it's the same thing, and you see it with Avalanche. Just like Avalanche did a good thing though is you can when you stake a node, then people delegate their stake to you. And that's the thing is most people, that's what happens to all these delegated stake is people will delegate their stake to other people. They want the return, but they're not going to do anything for it. So they just find someone else and they give it to them, and they're going to try to find someone, oh, like this one is the most reliable, the most reputable, whatever, I'll just give it to them. And it ends up just, centralizing even more. But Avalanche at least makes it so that when you stake a node, that you can't have more than a certain ratio of delegated stake to you based on the amount of stake you have. So it's like I don't recall like the exact math of it, but like say you had like 100x token that you staked, then you can't have more than like 40 delegated to you. So it basically forces more nodes to be added if you want a lot more stake for you. So you could still have centralization. It's just that it might mean those centralized, data center farmers, who are, running tons and tons of nodes for people and doing it as a profit center. It just would force them to run a lot more nodes, but it still might be run by the same people. But you wouldn't necessarily see that. I don't know. It's an interesting problem. I mean, it's like there's no like magic answer here. But I generically I like the idea, at least ideal, of pure proof of stake, but how that all works out in the future, it's gonna be interesting.
Even though I'm personally a proponent of decentralization, I think there's an argument to be made that the general public doesn't really care if nodes are decentralized.
Bitcoin, yeah, I don't think. I agree. Yeah.
Top 3 big players, Binance, of course, centralized. So I feel like most people don't really care. So, taking that into context of spreading adoption of Algorand, is it, I pose this question to anybody, is it worth sacrificing a short-term decentralization with still decentralization in the long-term, the goal to accelerate the growth now and incentivize relay node runners who will therefore bring more capital on chain, a la Solana?
Yeah, like again, I'm just trying to comprehend it for like the macro and the long term. I'm not concerned about the level of centralization or whatever you want to call it right now. I'm just thinking like, 3 years from now, 5 years ago, 10, whatever. So you're right on that. Like, I'm not trying to argue like we need to push it in this direction or whatever. Just trying to comprehend how it works, really.
It's like, how can we incentivize people who like infrastructure to come in and provide capital for infrastructure when it's difficult to have a decentralized way to benefit and profit from that? Like right now, people who run nodes are getting paid by the foundation. But what if people just want to run a node and get paid in an automatic smart contract-y type way instead of like from a company or a foundation?
I think it probably depends on the market that you're going for. Like, if the market you're going for is investors, then, I mean, the more green the price is, the more people are going to be excited that they bought Algorand, and the more they're going to tell their friends about it. So that's going to grow the network from an investment perspective. But like, if you're thinking about infrastructure, then you want to be thinking about like, what is that infrastructure being built for? What is the problem it solves? And ultimately, like, who is the customer that's going to be willing to pay for the service or product that's being created? And oh, by the way, I'm Brian Haney. Everybody, hi. Thanks for having me. I'm the creator of the Choice Coin DAO.
Is it possible to get a relay node or a node to be small enough to run off a phone or a Raspberry Pi or something like that?
Depends. I think state proofs at least would make it so that a phone could know that the state was correct and participate. I think properly, but you're not. I mean, to have. I guess looking at it this way: the way nodes work today, in terms of processing smart contracts, verifying that, you're not going to want to run that on the phone. But then, the phone doing more than they do, like today, a mobile app, is really relying on infrastructure run elsewhere. They're sending transactions to nodes to be, go to the chain. They're then, they're reading state from nodes or state from indexers that have been processed by the chain. So the phones don't really have to do anything, but it's certainly possible that more could be done with state proofs where the phones were a bit more active in the actual transaction portion of it. If that makes any sense. It's kind of in the kind of shades of gray here, but yeah, I mean, potentially.
I have a little bit of a different question for Chris and Patrick, actually, from the developer side and for maybe just the dApp development side, NFTs in general. Seeing the downtime with Solana this week, what is the straw that's going to break the camel's back in regards to developers or people, creating dApps and creating anything in the Algorand ecosystem and leaving something like Solana? Like, do you think that there's going to be a certain breaking point with this type of outages and stuff like that?
Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I say breaking point. So I don't believe that there's a breaking point. I think what will happen is that there will be a shaking out of the systems where different chains will be known for being better at different things. And I believe that there's a need and for different types of applications that chains that are different will satisfy them. I believe that today, I think that in the grand scheme of things, I think the utility isn't there for blockchain. The world has not been changed because of blockchain yet, and most use on blockchain is made up of people that are fans and people really kind of forcing themselves to use it. Once the applications are built that truly do change the world, the developers will pick chains that satisfy the needs of those applications, and you'll see certain classes of applications go into certain chains.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I mean, Ethereum Classic still exists. Is there anything built on that? Does anybody know? I mean, I don't know, Litecoin, stuff like that, whatever else you want to say. There's a lot of coins that exist, and they have market cap that I don't know if there's any development on them. I mean, maybe Chris knows or Patrick knows.
So I don't see how. I think. I mean, to talk about ghost chains. I think. I mean, look at Ethereum Classic. I mean, these things have market caps just because people still hold the coins. It doesn't mean they're actually used. I mean, right. I think if you look at, I always like to use this as an example of the absurdity of it. If you look at ETC, Ethereum Classic, if you want to deposit on Kraken, They require 40,000 confirmations before they accept the deposit. That's 6.5 days before they will accept your deposit on the chain, because it's so easily 51% attacked. So yet, the absurdity of it is, if you look at ETC, it's still worth $3.7 billion.
Wait, I want to put this
Yet,
in context. Ethereum Classic and Algorand are 1 day of gas fees away from equal market cap.
yeah, I mean, it's just great. It's just a clown world. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, that's also what kind of irritates me is you can have things that are literally just tokens that are nothing but a token. They're an ERC20 on ETH, right? They're not their own chain. They're not their own network. Nothing, and they have more of a market cap than all of Algorand for both the Algo token and all assets that Algorand protects. It's a proof of stake chain, so it's like if I have 200 million, 100, let's say I had $1 trillion of USDC floating around in circulation on Algorand. You really want that the Algo token, that is the collective, proof of stake like value, to hopefully be high enough financially to protect all the assets on chain as well. So it's like if you really look at the true total value locked for Algorand, then the Algo token is just like comically low. And then you compare it against other things in the ecosystem that aren't even chains. It's just ridiculous. I mean, so it either just shows you how early we really still are. I think it's that, or just the fact that people don't really pay attention to any of this. It's just all speculation, and people don't understand it. And it'll be interesting to see when or if it ever shakes out.
Don't tell anybody. I want to accumulate more before that gets out.
I will say, like for the team is discussing this, like for NFTs, in some ways, the ridiculous algo price certainly kind of changes our internal calculations of like how much algo we want to, because I mean it's a business decision, right? Like, okay, you take algo for a service, then how much do you keep as algo in your treasury, right? It's a business risk, right? I mean, the markets are super volatile. Well, do you, like, if you've got payroll and with that, like you have to decide like what percentage do you keep as algo? And right now at 60 cents, right, you're like, okay, I think the percentage that they keep in algo should be a lot higher. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's unbelievable. I feel like I know a lot of people are negative right now. I just have this other outlook on things and putting in perspective. I was looking like, again, Litecoin and ETH Classic are the same market cap or higher. It's just like, I think it's just time in the market. Like everybody talks about investments, like they've been around longer period. And again, there's so much speculation on all these other tokens that don't do anything. We're just at that point in the cycle. And yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see. I was talking to somebody from Slice Space. I don't know if you know about them, but they're doing like commercial real estate on chain. Like once some of these products get live, like I think it's going to be a game changer. I think we're going to see a lot of adoption for Algorand. Just the news on that. Same way with Lofty. I think that's making waves lately in the news as well.
But to the prior kind of point, like the fact that Solana continues to have these outages, and it seems like it's just a collective shrug from the industry. I really don't get that. I think there's just if the people who are invested in Solana, then despite like Algorand, it seems like people in Algorand have no problem like fudding their own bags. Like
Right.
people who are big Algo holders will slam Algo like nonstop. Yet it seems like the people in these other spaces, like the everything could collapse and they'll still like, nope, everything's fine. This is a wonderful thing because they're so invested in it. And it just
I
feels it's that way for Solana
I
because
have
they're
a
so
theory.
invested in it. Yeah.
I have a theory about people doing their own research, and I think that I don't know, this is just me, but the majority of people that I've met in the Algorand ecosystem, they've actually done their own research as opposed to going with what's actually existing, what's popular, etc. I don't know. That's just like the thing I've gotten the overall experience being in the Algorand ecosystem. The other cryptocurrencies that exist, they like hear about some news, something that's popular, yada yada yada. They don't actually dive one layer deeper. Like the majority of people using or trying to use those chains or whatever in those ecosystems, that's what I'm feeling so far. And I've spoken to a decent amount of people in regards to that. But yeah. Also, I made a joke yesterday post about converting Algo to Solana. Some people DM me, asked me if I was being serious, which I was surprised. I should have added the slash S at the end. I guess people didn't know I was being like making a joke, but it got some engagement. I got some Solana followers, so that was interesting. It was funny.
I feel like when people start building on a different chain, even if they run into issues like downtime or glitches or oversaturation, if they start going on Twitter and saying, you know what, and they're a prominent developer or prominent builder or prominent influencer or investor, they're not, and they say, you know what, I'm done with Solana, like I'm gonna look elsewhere. That like weakens the structure of the whole chain and weakens their financial position. And it's a very risky thing for people to say, even if they believe it.
I think one thing that Solana has as an advantage is that they have a relationship with Coinbase where Coinbase will list Solana assets, right? So that makes it a lot easier for people to be able to buy into the Solana ecosystem, right? If you could buy ASAs on Coinbase, for example, it would be a lot easier for people to buy into the system. The thing that we're doing now with Choice to change that is as part of our governance platform, we're offering compliance as a service. So my background is as an attorney, and we worked pretty hard to develop some software and a database of information on the laws and regulations surrounding cryptocurrency. Because one of the big things for exchanges is they don't want to list a security asset. So we're working on putting the infrastructure in place to be able to help projects to focus their assets in a way that will make them less likely to be a security, and to be able to provide some sort of memorandum of support for those assets, such that if they wanted to move forward with an application to a Coinbase, then it would be easier, more likely that they would get it. We just actually signed on Algo Stake this week, so that's our first customer for that. So really excited about moving forward with that. But I think that is one area where we could definitely improve, and we're working hard to do that.
Um, can you tell us more about what ChoiceCoin really do? Like, what is the platform? I heard about like voting. Is it on chain? Is it off chain? I don't. To be honest, I don't know much about ChoiceCoin.
Yeah, definitely. So ChoiceCoin is the largest open source software project on Algorand. We're building a decentralized governance platform. As part of that, the main technology we've developed is a decentralized voting technology. So we hold votes for our DAO, but we also hold votes for other projects in the ecosystem. So we just finished up Yield League governance last week, and we're working on a V2 right now. So we're doing some software upgrades before we do another vote. But yeah, it's a really cool project. We have over 100 contributors on GitHub, and yeah, we've been around for about a year now. And yeah, we're working on voting technology, compliance, governance. We're basically just trying to be like a one-stop shop for helping projects to create the governance infrastructure that they need to succeed.
What's new in V2 that you're bringing out?
Oh yeah, so V2 we're gonna have So I think the main thing is we're going to have multiple votes at once. So we want to move from like having this sort of one vote at a time model to be able to have multiple votes going at one time, sort of like Algo Stake or Yieldly, where they have multiple staking pools. And the point there is just to like encourage participation as opposed to just like straight staking. And I think that's a really good thing because when you improve participation, you're incentivizing people to decentralize control of the asset and to engage directly with the direction of the project. So excited about the multi-vote feature. We're also working on a gateway for governance to allow projects or people within the DAO to be able to just sign up, fill out a form, and then automatically be able to make a proposal with whatever they want to vote on, and then to have that reviewed by the dev team and then up for vote on the platform. So working on that as well.
Can
Is
you
that a,
please comment on the I'm going to phrase this as the volatility of choice coin over the past few months, and how you think this affects the distribution of holders and voters in the system?
Yeah, definitely. So Choice has been incredibly volatile since we launched it, right? So we launched it in October of 2021, right? And when we first launched it, we set it so that the price of one choice would be cheaper than like the algo transaction. So it was, I think originally the liquidity pool was very small though. We put maybe 3 million choice and 1,500 algo, I think, into the pool. And over time, I think it started to grow pretty fast. When we got on Yieldly, the price skyrocketed, right? And then it went way up. And while we were still staking on Yieldly, like we were using it as a mechanism for decentralizing the asset. So like when we distributed more out, then eventually that flew back into the liquidity pools and the price started dropping. And then what ended up happening was the Tiny Man hack happened on January 1st while we were still staking. So we weren't able to like receive the benefit of the staking on Yieldly because nobody had access to any of the assets. So after that, when the pool relaunched, we had just somebody who has choice restarted the pool at about 3 cents. And as soon as Tiny Man opened back up, there was a large dump in the price, which, unfortunate, but, we're working really hard to bring it back up. The price has since like stabilized around, it's still up from when we launched the pool originally in October. So the price originally was 0.0009. Now it's like 0.0016 or 7. Ultimately, like choice is an investment. It's a utility token. So I think that's one of the big things we try to focus on is like letting people know, like, don't think about this as an investment. It's incredibly volatile, and it's not something that you want to invest in. But if you want to use it for participation in the DAO governance, or if you want to hold DAO governance for your project or a vote, then choice is a good thing, right? We're really focusing on using the asset and incentivizing people to participate directly. In terms of the price, like I do think, our goal is really just to create and capture value, and I think we've done a great job of that, right? We've filed 4 patent applications, we've published 8 research papers, we've got like 29 copyrights between code and the research papers that we've written. So like in terms of like building that infrastructure, I think we've done a great job. We've got like 20 open source repos with OSS licenses on GitHub. Like I said, over 100 developers around the world, like a really great core team of people that are building it out the software. So I do think we're doing a really great job of creating value. And I think with time, that value will be captured in the value of the asset, but it's not our primary objective, and it's not the thing that we're focused on.
Yeah, thanks for that answer. I wasn't really referring to the price of it. I'm more referring to the price of it caused and the yield farming of it caused a huge discrepancy in the distribution of the tokens used to vote in the system. So is that a concern to you?
No, so like choice is probably like the most decentralized asset in the network, right? So I think that's one of the really great things we've done is we decentralize.
How do you know that?
Participating. Well, like, cause I'm the creator, right? So I've got like less than, probably right now, like less than 1.5% of the supply. And then the other creator also has about 1% of the supply. Like we've burned a lot of the choice we've created, but like if you look on Algo Explorer at the holders, like the largest addresses are all like decentralized pools that we've created. And then they're looking at like who has the asset. Like when you see just like the distribution where like nobody owns more than 2% of the entire network. Like maybe there might be
That's a
other
ton.
assets that are more decentralized, but yeah, I mean, definitely think we've done a really great job there.
2% of a network is one of 50 people. That's actually a lot.
I mean, like, so originally, like when you create an asset, you've got 100% of it, right? So, you know, we definitely done a good job of like over one course of 1 year, like now, you know, say like 97.5% have been of the asset has been decentralized. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that result. I think you look at other projects, you can see like the amount that the creators have, and I think that's a fair amount.
But I think there is like 6 accounts with 10 million token, 29 accounts with more than 1 billion token, and only 33% like distributed. Like most of the tokens are still in your hand, I guess.
No, yeah. So let's like we can go through it. So like the reserve is what's
No,
that, like
I don't want to go too much in the number. Just because you said the most decentralized on the network, that's kind of like a big,
right, but the three,
stretch.
if you look at the biggest one, right? So look at the biggest asset that we have is 37.5 million. That's controlled by the DAO, so that's decentralized, right? That's distributed to the participants in the DAO. If you look at the second biggest address, that's 28 million. That's the Algo stake or the voting rewards address. So again, like that's going to be distributed to other people who vote. So again, that's also decentralized. If you look at the next one, it's the Algo Choice Liquidity Pool. The next one is the Algo the Choice Stake Liquidity Pool. The next one is the Burn address. The next one is the Algo Stake Pool. So that's the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 addresses are all decentralized.
So
I didn't
are
mean
the
that. I
are
didn't mean that as like a. I didn't mean that to say like, you know, we're more decentralized than anybody else. I just meant that that's something that we've worked really hard on. That we're
is
proud
that
of.
rewards distribution controlled by a smart contract?
So the rewards distribution for voting. So yeah, so the whole system is designed as a smart contract. I know that people here are going to freak out about that, but yeah, it is a smart contract.
Yeah, people who know what smart contracts are going to freak out about you saying it's a smart contract. Every time you say that, Brian, I'm gonna slam you for it. It's just not true, and you need to stop using it.
It is true.
You're clueless.
The smart contracts are translated from the blockchain, and I think the big problem with the way that you think
No,
about it
it's
is you're
not.
not thinking about it from a business perspective, right? When you define smart contracts very narrowly as this very technical thing, it makes the blockchain less likely to be adopted by regular users because regular users don't care, right? I can't go and tell my friends, oh, hey guys, like we've got this new type of stateless smart contract, or hey guys, we've got this new type of Falcon key, or hey guys, we got these state proofs, because they have no idea what that means.
You're like, see that cat
Is that
there?
you're able to identify business opportunities and create value in the market. So when you can solve problems for people and they're willing to pay for it, that's how you're going to generate widespread adoption. It's not about like the technical nuances or the specific terms.
Of course
It's about
it is.
making this something that people can understand, something that people can use.
Chris, please go ahead.
So my big thing, so your whole reason of calling your entire system a smart contract is because you don't want to use the technical term smart contract. But you're using it incorrectly. Don't even talk about them at all. Talk about what the value of your thing is. I mean, don't even use the term smart contract or bastardize the correct definition of smart contract.
So the reason I'm calling it a smart contract, so like, I mean, my background, right? So before I came to Algorand, I was an academic. I did some research, wrote on smart contracts, and then I came to Algorand. I learned about stateless and stateful contracts. I learned about Teal. And you're right. Like, I mean, I like to focus as much as I can on talking about the value that we're providing and creating a decentralized governance system where we can hold global votes with instantaneous results for anywhere around the world, and leveraging Algorand and security of Algorand to do that. And I think that's a really cool thing, right? To be able to have like global instantaneous votes with anyone around the world. It's a cool thing that's never been done before. So I'm excited about that. But with like respect to smart contracts, people ask like, is it a smart contract? And based on like what I've studied in my research, like a smart contract is a transaction on the blockchain. And I understand that there are different types of smart contracts, like you can have stateless or stateful smart contracts, right, in Algorand. But it doesn't, to me, that it's not, it doesn't make a lot of sense to narrow the definition that I've come to know over time from my own reading and research to say that now what we're doing is not a smart contract. I think it makes sense to say you can write smart contracts in the SDKs, and I think it's a good thing that people do that. If the problem that we're solving required us to use a different like to dig in and start using Teal or PyTeal, then we would, right? We have repos on our GitHub for both Teal and PyTeal. We have devs that know how to do that type of work. It's just for the problem we're solving, I think that what we're doing is working and that our users are happy with it. So we're going to keep going with the SDKs.
Does your DAO have any Teal or PyTeal in it?
Yeah, so I mean, you can go on our GitHub. We have a repo with Teal and PyTeal. So one of the things that we do that's been really successful.
No, you didn't answer the question. Does your DAO have any Teal or PyTeal in it?
Yeah, so again, you can go on our GitHub and you can see we have a repo with Teal and PyTeal. One of the things we've done that's been really successful is running like short hackathons where
I have a repo with Python.
we provide incentives for people to be able to build in short amount of time whatever technologies, and we've run a couple of bashes now with Teal and PyTeal.
But what part of your DAO actually uses PyTeal or Teal?
Yeah, so we haven't used like Teal or PyTeal in the software that we're running now, right? Like we're writing everything in the SDKs because again, like I think that's the best way to solve the specific problem.
Exactly. We asked you twice, and you deferred. You deferred and said, "Oh, our repo has it." So it's like it shouldn't take 3 tries to get you to say that you're not actually using Teal or PyTeal for the DAO. So just say it. Like the fact that you can do there's some stuff that using the SDK. There are times where it's fine, but you calling these things smart contracts, you're really doing yourself it's just a huge injustice to the whole space. It's just not a good look. And you continue to call these smart contracts, I'm going to continue to call you out for it.
Yeah, and you're just going to continue to be wrong.
That's so not true. Every single time you say that, you discredit yourself more.
You're just going to make us want to roll harder, aren't you? You come out and say you're not technical, and then want to argue technical things with technical people.
I am technical. I didn't
lose.
say I'm not technical. I am technical. You can go on my GitHub. I've done plenty of development work on Algorand. I mean, like the reason we got the grant is we won the MIT Bitcoin hackathon.
Okay.
So
right.
We have over 100 people. Like I don't know what you guys are getting at.
Your repo has like 7 contributors.
We have over 100 contributors. Like again, you can go on our repo right now.
Those 100 contributors are incentivized to do PRs in separate directories of your repo, which isn't the actual code you use for anything. True or not? You admitted it in Discord.
So the way that we structure our open source development is, I'm really proud of it, and it allows, again, over 100 people from around the world to be able to contribute to the same project. The core code that we use is run by a small team, but that doesn't mean that they're the only ones who make contributions, because we're able to take those contributions from people all over the world and organize them in a way that allows us to draw on all of those different contributions in perfecting to the best of our ability the smart contracts that we deploy. So yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of the open source software that we developed. Just because you're an old guy and you do it one way doesn't mean that the new people can't come in and do something completely different. That's how you innovate.
So with your smart contract model, as you call it, so using your SDK call, or say someone sends you, $1 million Yieldly to your hot wallet. What in the smart contract, as you call it, ensures that comes back? What executes that? How and when? And what are the parameters?
The reward script. So I mean, the way it works, right, is when you vote, you send the the assets to the specific voting address, and then we execute the reward script, and it returns those assets. And I think it's a really cool thing, again, because
So you
the
execute.
smart
Wait,
contract
wait,
model
I'm
that
sorry.
we've
You
created
execute a
allows
reward
for
script. What
global,
executes that reward
instantaneous,
script?
and secure
What executes that reward
centralized
script?
voting. So we have developers that run the reward script that return all of the choice to the voters along with a choice reward.
So someone could someone run that reward script could send those yieldly anywhere, right?
Nope, they could only send it to the people who voted.
How?
How's that? Where's the code what defines that? You have a hot wallet. You can
The
send it
smart
anywhere.
contract defines that, Patrick.
It's not a smart
The
contract.
smart contract defines that.
Transaction.
All right. Hey, Bilal,
You're a fraud.
I'm ready to
I'm
actually
done.
move on with this. I completely
Are you
don't trust
kidding me,
anything
dude?
that Choice has ever done, and we should move on to a different conversation
Yeah,
and start a meditation.
I agree. We can move on, but it's true that like I heard many questions about is it on chain or off chain? Is it done manually or smart contracts?
It's
I think it's
completely
good for the
off-chain.
community.
It's all done manually with hot wallets. They
It's
control.
on chain. It's not manually. It's an automated smart contract. I'm the one who developed the code. Like, what?
That's
Who are you to come in and tell me
you're
that it's not what it is? I
you're
mean, you can read our
demonstrating the
security
fact
audit.
that
It was
you're
done by Koldesky. That's one of the best security firms in the world. And they said that we had an innovative smart contract model that we
no,
use
they
for
didn't. They
voting.
said you had
So
no
you know what?
contracts.
Like, no, you don't know what you're talking about, man. You're just an
okay.
old guy who's angry.
I think the proof can only be put in written somewhere, Discord, etc. We cannot prove anything just by talking. Maybe we can, each of you can share the proofs and we discuss it next week, maybe a little bit, not too long, but thanks for the conversation. It was great. And yeah, but that's, this space here is pretty rough. If you come out with the wrong wording, you can be destroyed. It happened before. It will happen again. That's why we love it. Sorry, ChoiceCoin, for the bad mood, but yeah, we just need to
You know what we could
represent the
do
community.
is we could talk about the gas wars last night from Yuga Labs and what that means for them creating a new chain with ApeCoin. Maybe they should move to Algo. Thoughts?
That was brutal, wasn't it? That was such a huge spike instantaneously, damn near. Single-handedly, just cost so many people money.
Yeah, I saw a
Crazy.
tweet saying 100 million of gas was used in the first hour of the mint.
Can you explain more, Ibu or Monty, please, about it?
Yeah, I'm not an expert on the situation, so anyone else who wants to jump in, please do. But I know that Yuga Labs, who does Bored Apes, had some mint of a new series last night, and it was so popular and had so much volume that the gas fees went straight through the roof, and Ethereum was overwhelmed. So Etherscan crashed, and a lot of people lost either their ApeCoin or ETH trying to skip the line when minting, because the way that Ethereum works with gas is that you can pay more to basically skip the line and get into the block. So if you want to confirm that mint, you pay more. But if anyone knows more, please let me know.
So I have so yes, the extreme gas prices are no good to actually do any type of transaction, because what that does force is it means that only rich people can participate. But the other side of the coin is that what it's really shown is that there is demand. There's 150, people paid $150 million for the right to use Ethereum yesterday, and for 2 hours. That's crazy amounts of money to actually promote and show the actual drive in blockchain today. And I think that to me is really exciting.
I agree. I also want to make a point on that even in the depths of a bear market, NFTs are still extremely popular, and people are willing to spend their asset, which has gone down in value, ETH from 4.5K to 2.8K, and they're still willing to spend a ton of it to get into NFTs, which for me is a super bullish sign on the industry. But
this wasn't just an NFT, project like Bored Ape Yacht Club. This was an NFT giving you the right to claim land in their metaverse project. So it was an NFT technically, but it was, as Chris would talk about it, it's NFT. That's, alternative use case, I guess, right? This was like buying a deed to your property there.
Yeah, I totally agree. Good point. Like for me, this is what I have been hoping for, and Chris has been talking about, like the evolution of NFTs to the next level, getting past the PFPs and into something more dynamic. It is exciting, and it shows that there's just a huge demand for these new ideas.
Jeremy, please. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good. Happy Sunday, all. Hey, I just wanted to throw it out there. It actually, like, from the smart contract reviews of it and stuff like that, you actually put in the contract that there couldn't be any more than 150 mints per block. So they almost intentionally messed up the contract or slowed down the contract to create congestion. So it's pretty, I don't know, it's like some like, I don't know, some crazy marketing thing going on or something.
I was gonna say,
that.
yeah, is that like an intentional marketing thing to, our mint was so popular we crashed Ethereum?
Yeah, now we're gonna launch our own chain.
Yeah, people are saying that they might have purposely have done this to promote the launching of their own chain.
Exactly, and it really looks that way too. Unless they had some ulterior motive behind slowing down the blocks or whatever, or the mints, but I can't think of it.
For Chris,
They didn't even
going to be able to. So I'm curious whether Humble's going to be able to, in terms of like the interchain stuff, is Humble going to be able to create liquidity pools with assets that are both either ASA or ERC20? Like, for example, maybe like a choice uni pool.
I don't. Are we ready to switch topics off of the Bored Ape Yacht Club stuff yet?
Can we wait a few minutes, because I feel like this is an interesting topic. I think just to comment on what Jeremy said, and Jeremy from Asset Stats, Web3 marketing is just so much different than anything we've ever seen, or that I've ever seen, and I just find it so fascinating that all the unique and like unconventional strategies that people may or may not take, and you can't even tell if it's marketing sometimes. And maybe this Yuga Labs thing was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but it's just very fascinating to think about how people proliferate their message in crypto compared to a Web2 corporation or something like that.
Is Solana doing some marketing again?
Yeah, they're trying to make a point.
I'm the new Solana chill. That's it.
There was actually another thing with that, with the Yuga Labs thing too. I guess they could have used like a 741A contract or something like that, or like they did use a 741A instead of the other one, whatever. Like they could have actually made it in more of like a way that would reduce the gas even more, like by triple, quadruple, whatever the amount that it actually took if they just used a different kind of contract too. So that's all I got though.
I think that's there's things that they could have done. So they could use the ERC 721A, but that's also not as proven as the ERC 721 that is on Open Zeppelin. And this is a pretty big thing. They probably didn't want to risk it. I think,
gotcha.
The part of this that is like people are making a lot out of nothing, or I guess not nothing, but they're making a lot more, underhanded conspiracy theory than they just sold a crap ton of real estate on chain, and good for them. There's that much demand that they brought down Ethereum. I don't know how many people were here back in the day, but when CryptoKitties was doing it back in the day, that was also pretty big deal. But this is just, to me, is just bullish in the overall smart NFT, the NFT future. So I'm happy it happened. It created a lot of news. Sadly, it didn't make the coins go up in price. which is sad for me because working on doing another round here pretty soon. And it's not the easiest to raise money in a bear market. We'll live.
Yeah, so if we're still on that topic of that whole mint that happened yesterday, I've been sort of thinking about some things in regards to sort of Ethereum's proof of work model, and I specifically wanted, I feel like it's good to sort of, by the way, none of these like thoughts are sort of rehearsed or like fully like parsed, but I kind of want to hear Patrick and anyone else wants to chime in thoughts on it. But like if like anything was obvious yesterday, is that miners got paid like a lot of money for that whole mint. I mean, a simple swap on Uniswap went from like I think $70 to like $2,000 during that time period.
No, I just want to bring you somewhere cool.
Oh yeah.
To eat, it'll be better.
Oh,
hey Ibu, I'll have a two tacos.
chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Shit, my bad.
Hot
About to
sauce
go to
beside,
Schmort.
though. Really
About to go
hot,
to this place. About to go to this food fair in Brooklyn. If you're ever in Brooklyn, let me know. We'll go on Sundays.
Thanks, Hot Mike Ibu.
Thanks, Ibu, for this.
Such
Anyway,
an amateur move. That's a major move.
Miners got paid yesterday, and so like it like sort of like goes into like Ethereum is planning on moving to proof of stake, and like the people that run the nodes are the miners, and like what incentive do they have of moving to proof of stake, and if there might be like some sort of split, like an Ethereum Classic type situation where because the people that are that are going to lose the most from moving to proof of stake are the miners, and they're the ones that actually control community nodes. And then I've been like hearing some other stuff from like different like mining pools that may or may not be partially or like fully true, or it might just be sort of their like cope, which is like that the upgrade will require like running a second client, and it's going to be like and it's still having some bugs and here and there. So yeah, I sort of wanted to hear people's thoughts on I know this is the Algorand chat, but like
There's a logic bomb apparently that's gonna stop the other chain, and that's the end of the conversation according to the ETH maxi. So I don't know. That's my 2 cents.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see like how the participants of the network, if they migrate over, if they just go, you know what, screw you, we're like not migrating over at all. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts, Patrick, if you have any. Or if you don't, it's fine.
Well, I mean, Chris is more in tune with the East.
Oh
space.
yeah, Chris, please
talk about it. But I mean, I'll just say, I guess generically, I mean, it's talked about a lot because I mean, obviously the proof of work side on Ethereum, the miners are definitely, like they're incentivized for fees to be high, right? And so it'll be interesting. I'm curious what Chris thinks.
Yeah, what Jeff actually said is true. So there is actually a hard-coded into the Ethereum nodes that at a certain block, there has to be a hard fork no matter what. So even if the miners decide, you know what, we want to say proof of work, you would have to, there has to be a hard fork going that direction as well. So, and then plus on the other side, there is going to the proof of stake side. So they don't get the choice just to keep things as is. This is the point.
Right. Well, as like they don't get the choice, but they could always run a doctored version of the node code and just say, and it's, yeah, I mean, there would be a fork, right? And like the fork would be just, we're going to stay proof of. So is there like Ethereum, I don't know, old 1.0, and then there's Ethereum new? Like what happens? How does
I would like to actually place a bet on this happening. Is there somebody who would like to take that wager? Can we put some odds up? That's illegal.
I mean, it's going to happen. I mean, it's 100% going to happen. It's will it actually be used? That's the key, is because as much as the miners would want to stay and say, oh, this is what we're doing now, and we're still mining this, but if there is nobody actually using that network and everybody switches over to using the proof of stake as far as actually users, then, if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make any noise.
I'm going to use proof of work ETH Classic, and I'm going to buy the Bored Ape off that chain whenever that happens, whenever they fork that.
Honestly, I think this is what how ETH Classic becomes relevant again, is that ETH Classic upgrades all of the things that has been upgrading, and then stays proof of work, and then says, you know what, we're ETH Classic, we're proof of work. You know, this is this. If you want proof of work and you want Ethereum, go to ETH Classic.
Financial advice from Chris. Long please ETH Classic.
You heard it here first, folks. Yes, exactly.
Nothing I ever say is financial advice. It's all entertainment purposes only.
And that is entertaining, yeah.
Fat disclaimer right there.
Hey, so was the node talk earlier, did that have anything, did I miss it? Like, why are we gaining like 150, 100 nodes a day? Does anybody know?
That's actually a great question. I don't know why.
Yeah, there hasn't been any increased activity in like the node channel, and I think this is like, so tinfoil hat, but I think it just might be like them updating the previously like like there might have been an invalid statistic previously or something. But yeah, I haven't like, yeah, I follow the node community especially close, and there hasn't been any kind of like, you know, oh, like new people coming on to run nodes
Yeah, I
lately,
haven't seen anything in there either.
Yeah, I think there could be there's a lot of different factors that could go into that. Like it could be like upgrade, depending on the infrastructure people run. There could be upgrades that are in parallel to existing nodes, and those upgrades might have like different IP addresses. So those are seen as like new nodes potentially. And then it's like a sliding window, so you might not see it drop when the other node gets dropped off, you might not see the reduction in count for a little bit. So there could be an issue there. There could be cases where a new project, I think if you see a commensurate crank in transactions somewhere, it's possible that someone is bringing a bunch of nodes online so they can submit a bunch of transactions in parallel. So you could have that. Like there's been times where I think for the SIE import, the Italian NFT thing, there was a big node bump prior to that then went away shortly after the thing. So I think there was a big node scale to crank those transactions in, and so didn't take as long. There could also be like new network tests. I don't know where Pocket is these days, Grams. So it could be any kind of like tests, new projects.
True.
It could be legitimately new nodes. But the main thing is the voter count really hasn't changed much, and that's what I see more as a real bellwether of increased true interest in those nodes. Because like right now, the 7-day total on voters is like 359. It slowly goes up, but not much.
That will only go up when there's diversification of pools, though, or wallets that are voting, just because of how the vote weighting goes, right?
Well, no, actually no, because like if you go to Metrica, let me look. I'll tell you in just a second. On consensus participation, and I do a time range of 1 month, then that's not right. I've seen someone with as little as 1 algo actually propose a block.
Yeah, so the lowest voting stake right now over the last 7 days is 1 algo. But that being said, like that was severely lucky. Just because of how like the vote weighting works.
Of course,
the large majority of all voters will be the large holders.
100%. But the fact that they actually got a vote at all is a testament to the system working, right? Like they actually contribute.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the number of voters, unique voters, over a 70 period going up means that the large holders will have to become smaller and smaller over time, and then there will have to be that the amount of algos that are being committed to voting has to be spread out more.
Exactly. That's part of Inks and Foundation's kind of duty in role to a certain extent in decentralization, is they have to factor in like what is the distribution of participation keys and the vote, and then you want them to reduce or distribute that stake through the distribution of algo itself, which is through participation awards and governance and things like that. But then you want their percentage to drop to a point, but not so much that it could impact the security of the whole network. But something that I spoke with some people at Foundation about is, I think, in order to really crank that voter count, because it's not much of a compute ask right now for someone to run a non-archival participation node. And we have all these nodes, and it hurts that we have, now it's saying, 3,000 or whatever nodes, but only, 360 actually voting. And I think the issue is that more people would do it if they kind of understood how to set it up and set the participation key. So what I suggest is that we really need more of like a node in a box solution for Algorand. Someone should be able to do a single click installer for Windows, OS X at least. Linux users, they're fine. They can already do the existing stuff. If they're a dedicated Linux user, they're fine with the command line. But Windows and OS X, then give a node in a box that gives you a simple cross-platform UI wallet, and also automatically handles setting up your participation key. And then I think we would see the participation count skyrocket, because I think a lot of people would run nodes if it was as easy as just running an installer.
Yeah, I
I wonder,
mean,
yeah,
increasing the number of nodes, that would go up, but it wouldn't necessarily create the number of voters.
Correct, sure it would. If assuming it set it up where it created a participation key for them, and they linked that with their Algorand account, then any algo they hold would automatically be used as a part of the stake in their vote.
Yeah,
and so
but
you would absolutely see that vote number increase significantly. The number of independent voters.
And the reason for that is the vote weighting. Is that because of the whales that are currently participating as actually node runners, because of the voter weighting, unless the new voters that came in had a significant amount of algo, it would slowly increase. The good way to actually make it so, as long as the same amount of voting stake is the same, you spread that across all of the nodes, then you'd start seeing the voters number going up.
No, I mean, you absolutely 100% would see the voter number go up. Absolutely no question. If you see a vote at all from someone with one algo, and someone has 100 algo, 1,000 algo, you will absolutely see the vote go up. Now, if you're going to say, will those voters get a significant percentage? No, of course not. But the fact that they will get votes, because you have three rounds per block in a block every 4.3 seconds or so. So there's a lot of chances for people to get votes in.
Yeah, but my whole point is that just because there's a person that can actually have one algo can get a vote, that doesn't mean that they're going to get a vote every single 7 days or whatever. So like that one algo person, there might be one of them every 7 days, and it would be spread out.
I think, yeah, I mean, kind of what you're saying is like if those 2,000 extra nodes or whatever had like 5 algo voting weight, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to get chosen very
exactly.
much.
But I mean, I was assuming if people are doing this, they're going to have more. I mean, like it's kind of absurd. I think it's almost like a joke the fact that someone has just one algo, right? I mean, anyone who's
I think my tinfoil hat.
Going to have decent algo.
Yeah. Is there anywhere
my tinfoil hat is like, I think that maybe there's a service coming online for like the node in a box type of one-click install thing. You know, they could be setting up or testing out an install process with like a AWS type of service or something like that, where, you know, they're trying to see, you know, how many they can create, you know, but that's tinfoil shit.
So Patrick said it. I think almost I put actually money on it that is Pocket coming back involved again, because like that would make 100% sense where all of these nodes are coming from.
Does Algo Explorer, or does anybody know where you could see the stake, like the algos that people on nodes, like the staking distribution just of the nodes that are participating in the.
Yeah, like if you go to app, there's a couple different sources. Like if you want to see the actual blocks and stuff like that, there are different links. But app.metrica, metrika.co, and then pick the Algorand, and then they've got a consensus participation dashboard, and then you can see proposals by top accounts, and a link to the account, stakes needed to propose, to get a proposal at all, voters, the votes by top accounts. They only do, I think, maybe the soft votes, not the certification votes. There's two different. There's 3 votes for every block. There's the proposal committee, the soft vote committee, and the certification vote committee.
It would be great to have the link if you could post it for us all.
Yeah, it's so awkward in the spaces, right? Like you have to tweet about it, and
yeah,
it's just really awkward.
Yeah, I never could do it, but maybe you're smarter than me. Like I don't know how to. But or just on the post, like on my post below, like or anybody who has the link, it would be great for us to get to know more what's happening on chain.
So it says on so Patrick, you said you saw somebody with 1 algo propose a block, but it says on Metrica that the minimum stake needed to propose is 292.59 algo.
Change your time range. If you're looking at 1 day, right? Because it's.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. So like for the number of blocks in a single day, then the ratio, right? I mean, like you only having 1 algo out of 1 point, let's see what
1.8
right
billion.
now. 1.8 billion is a current online stake. So yeah, so it's 1 out of 1.8 billion, but with hundreds of thousands of chances. It's a lottery, right? It's like one in 1.8 billion chance, but you might pull that lever, thousands, hundreds of thousands of times.
Is it probabilistic? Because if you do it on the monthly time scale, that number goes down to like 0. Is that just a rounding error?
Oh, it's a rounding error. It should be 1 algo, basically.
But isn't it historical? Like, isn't it like history to have someone participating with such a small stake? Like this is
it's huge. It's fantastic.
It's huge, yeah.
Yeah, because normally other chains, because they need to limit participation in a sense in various ways in order to scale the consensus committee. Right? Normally it's like because of their consensus, it's like, well, we can only have X number or whatever that are communicating. And so it's like, well, you have to have X stake in order to run it. So whereas the Algorand, short of, as long as you scale the relay nodes, theoretically you could have like 1 million nodes, right? Your committee size is always, the desired committee size is always the same. And that is a smaller subset. But the key is that whoever is in that committee is random. I mean, it's just a fantastic design.
Like voting with 55 cents yesterday. That's pretty awesome, right?
I mean, it's not like it's the person is not going to have any true meaningful impact in the sense that you got your 1 block proposal out of 24 million blocks or whatever in a month.
Oh yeah.
But it's the fact that you even had a say at all is still pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But realistically, if you had, say, if you had the sort of if you had enough algo that would be normal stake on other networks, then you'll actually have you'd be a measurable impact. Not as much as maybe I would like, given the significant stake that Inc. and foundations will have with their nodes. But I think part of that is they have to have such a high stake because there isn't enough stake out there from other people, right? And so as more nodes come up with real stake, then they should reduce their percentages.
Actually, I was wondering a little bit about same as Ibu asked about the question running on phones. Can't we imagine like an app where we can just install the app and run a node on a computer at home, like very easily to make it accessible to anybody. One-click app to run a node. That's it. Is it possible to create that kind of app for Windows, etc.?
Oh, wait, are you talking about like a Windows or a phone app?
Yeah, Windows, like computers, laptop, to
Oh,
just have
yeah.
like a very simple interface, the most basic one. Anybody can run a node,
Yeah,
one click.
yeah,
Like
that's
there
definitely
already is
possible.
a one-click installer of sorts for Windows that
Yeah, but
Oh,
Rand Labs created, but
it's
it's just kind of like a stepping stone. It's still pretty rough. Like there's nothing in it. There's nothing set up in it to help you manage your participation key. So you would just run a node, but it wouldn't set you up automatically, run you through creating the participation key. So you wouldn't actually be voting. So it's like you could use that basis of what they created as a part of a one-click installer that did everything, but it's not quite there yet in terms of getting people voting
that would
their
be a
nodes.
game changer. Like I would run it immediately. Like I'm not very technical. I'm not technical. So if and I remember when they launched it, I wasn't sure if it was participating in the vote, but if it was, like I would have done it immediately.
I think Algorand will still have to make. I think if the participation count really cranks, I think they've already started making some changes. But they'll have to make some changes. They'll need to have some way of polling, of removing online accounts. Basically, when you link a participation key with an account, you have to like set your Algorand account as quote online, which means like that 1.8 billion that's online, you would be part of that total.
So
The
one
problem
thing that
is
just kind of let's chime in here real quick. Just to let everybody know is Algo G. He's here all the time. He's actually, this is the project he's working on, is being able to actually make it very easy for anybody to actually create a node. So,
And you still need you're saying in order to actually participate in the votes, you still needs to be an archival node, right? So like that seems kind of
no.
No? Okay.
A non-archival participation node is, like I run a node in a cloud service, like $20 a month, and it's just a 2-core, 4 GB RAM box, and it's just a non-archival participation node. It's more than it needs now, but the other configuration they have of 1 core, 2 gigs isn't really quite enough, and it definitely wasn't enough. Like that's all I ran for a while, and then the SIAE, big bulk import, killed it. So I had to like go up to the next configuration. But that 2-core, 4 gig of RAM, I think its average like CPU use is like 20%. So it's fine. And then that's a full participation node. So it's like I've got a participation key set up. It's linked to my cold wallet.
So what was just so I understand, what was the archival node needed for in the voting process?
The archival node is not needed in the voting process
At all. Okay.
No.
Okay. Sorry.
The only time an archival node is required is if you run a relay.
Relay. Okay. Sorry. For
relays are required to be archival nodes because they are the source of blocks for other nodes, right? So like when you fire up a node, and it, non-archival nodes are the most recent 1,000 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But when you fire up, you have to read the entire chain up to the most recent block, or you can use fast catch up, which downloads like catch points from relays. But still, every block still comes from a relay, and that's why they're required to be archival.
When state proofs come online, then do you think you could theoretically remove that limit, right? Because you just need you don't need all, right? The only value of having every block historically for proposing or for relay is that like you can be sure that the next block that gets proposed is correct, right? But if you could start from a state proof.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, so it basically means, I think there still ends up being a lot of trust. Like when you download because a catch point, like when you do a fast catch up with a non-archival participation node, you can do what's called fast catch up. And fast
Right.
catch up basically downloads, like I don't know, like a tarball in the sense of like a database dump. So it's like, okay, every like 10,000 blocks or something like that, or 1,000 every 10,000 blocks, it captures like a snapshot of like the database on relays, and it's like the current account state of every account and the assets and all that kind of stuff. So it downloads that, synchronizes your node, its database to that, and then proceeds with normal fetching of blocks, like the last 1,000 or so. But so basically, you're up and running with a non-archival participation node using fast catch up in like 10 minutes, maybe tops. Like it's pretty quick. The thing is, there's still trust on what you're fetching from those relays. Whereas I think state proofs would make it so that you could actually have real trust and knowing like what you got was correct, and you I believe would be able to just jump right to the end of the line.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
be
You
like,
would the space
yeah,
requirement would go down dramatically, right? A state proof is not gigabytes in size.
right.
So you could just, instead of fast catch up, even that also gets sped up significantly.
Well,
Like
no,
it could be.
you'd still need like that database dump of sorts, because you still need the 20 million accounts or whatever. You need the state of all the accounts. That all has to
That's
be
true.
equal.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need all the accounts, you need all the assets, you need all the state of all the accounts for contracts, local state and global state. You need all of that, which on the grand scheme of things actually really isn't that much data.
Yeah.
So that can all be fetched pretty quickly. And then it's just a matter of, you have a state proof where you could kind of like just fetch, you could just go right to like the latest block and just have a
Exactly.
state proof to say, yep, does this latest block that you just gave me, is that correct for the state proof you also gave me? Yep. Okay, we're good. And then just start right from there.
Yeah, I think that would go a long way to making it much easier to develop like a like a smartphone app that just you click it and it's like already just has to
Yeah,
take a
I
few
forget what
minutes.
blockchain. There's some blockchain that acts like their entire blockchain is like 24K or something like that, right? And it's basically, them kind of acting like, in a sense, the state proof is their entire chain. And
Right.
it's like it's a bit of a hand wave because it's not really true, right? Because they say, oh, you can run your entire chain on the phone, whatever. But the reality is there's no transaction history there. There's no ledger. But there is some truth to being really cool about what you can get with state proofs.
The other thing I wanted to mention that I thought was kind of interesting, just like I did the math, and if you have a single algo out of 1.8 billion, your odds of getting to participate in a block is 1.3% in a month. So that's pretty high, 1.3%. Yeah, that's your chance of. So I mean, in expectation, it would take like 70 months or something before you actually.
And that's
But
with all three committees.
yeah, yeah, and with 10 algo, it's a 12.5%, and with 100 algo, it's 74%. So that's like your odds of participating in a single month. Those are pretty high. I think that's pretty cool.
That's actually pretty high. So that's actually for a block proposal, which is the smallest committee. That's fantastic, right? Because that means that like, you determined what transactions actually made it on chain.
Right? Yeah, right. And like your odds of like the reason why that number is relevant to me is because like I won't personally believe it works until I see that for my stake, right? And if my odds of seeing that for my stake are high enough, I'll get the instant gratification,
So here's a funny story, and that's partly why some of the aspects of Algorand I know pretty well, is because I wanted to answer that question for myself.
So you calculated the odds empirically.
No, I mean, like, because I was running nodes. I ran a Cosmos node, and I ran a Bitcoin node, and I ran an Algorand node.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. You actually you calculated by sampling directly from the data.
I just wanted to see it. Like, it's like, okay, like I looked at the logs. My node said I voted, but did I really vote? Right? It's like I wanted, it's trust but verify. It's like, okay, my node says it did this, but I don't really know it did that unless I can verify from someone else or something else that actually happened. So I was trying to figure out, like, okay, I've got this much stake. like, I want to see this. Like, where do I go to see that I propose a block? How can I verify from someone else? Well, block proposal, that's directly in the block, and I can see that, right? But my stake, early on was such that I was never seeing proposals, right? Actual true block proposals. Then it's like, okay, well, how do I verify my vote? Well, depending on the vote, you can't necessarily see it. So I wrote a bunch of code to like fetch every block, crack the blocks, and look at the certification votes and try to see where I was showing up in certification votes out there. And then I was talking to other users, and then I realized, oh, well, the certification vote isn't really part of the formal ledger, it's per node. And then it's like, you have these kind of naive assumptions. But then once you realize, talking to other people, it makes more sense. You'll realize that certification votes will be different per node. So like node A might have a different set of certification votes for the same block than node B, because they'll potentially receive the votes in different orders. But I mean, it was really informative. So as I dug into like wanting to really prove that I was voting like I thought I was, or I was being told I was, I had to like go through the code and like learn quite a bit. It's a fun journey.
Jeff, please.
I kind of wanted to ask Algo HQ about what is it, PackFi, or what's the other one? AlgoFi. The liquidations. I was liquidations. Is there somebody mentioned about bidding on, like, I don't know, somebody was saying like bidding on people being liquidated or something like that. Is there any decentralized exchange that allows for like those vaults or anything like that, where if you have the liquidity, you can potentially buy somebody who's like close to liquidation, like buy their algo at a discount? I don't know. Somebody was talking about that in a different space earlier. I'm curious if that's something that's going to be happening. I don't know. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what I read earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. Evan, you want to say something?
Yeah, Market Maker always brings up storage wars. Thought that was where he's going with it.
Yeah, it's on AlgoFi, there's no front end to liquidations. On Guard, there is. The issue is that Guard may not have the actual like account and liquidity that you'd want to make it worth it. I think AlgoFi intentionally made it a bit obscure to do liquidations, so they didn't have like a mad dash of people waiting for the price of Algo to dump or something, and then people are just bidding and trying to buy. I don't think they have the capability to set up the system in that way, but I'm not sure if they will or won't do that in the future. But I mean, yeah, to run a liquidation bot on AlgoFi would definitely be really lucrative, especially if you can somehow utilize the flash loan aspect of it that they built in. But I don't know if anyone's really been able to do that yet. But there's no front that you could just bid and say, when X account gets to Y borrow utilization a lot above 100%, I will buy 50% of their algo, because that's what you would do. Yeah, so you need to be able to run a liquidation bot. So it's a bit inconvenient and like not that welcoming to non-technical people.
Even is it true? I mean, like as a user, if you borrow AlgoFi, does AlgoFi not even provide a way for the user themselves to know they're going to get liquidated, or might be?
No, there's a borrow utilization thing in the top right corner, and if that reaches 100%, then your account's at risk. So if it reaches 100%, then if someone who's doing liquidations is scanning the chain, scanning the accounts, usually you're constantly scanning, or like, at intervals you're scanning for accounts that are above 90%, and then you add those to like a smaller watch list, and then you're scanning those more often. And then once one of those hits above 100%, you have the ability to buy out half of their collateral, and then you'll earn like a 7.5% arbitrage fee for that. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious if like it was kind of hidden from the user, because I kind of got the impression that user wouldn't even know. But yeah, so at least if it shows percentage, that's not too bad.
No, Patrick, we know that we are very close to liquidation, to be honest. And it's funny because yesterday, I think when the price dropped to 50 something, I think I went over 100% in one small account I have, and it came back to 92% right now. So I'm happy that it's not that easy to liquidate people, because I would have been liquidated. I don't know how much, maybe 50%, as Ibu said. I'm not sure.
Did your balance
Kind of
go
a
down?
pointless.
Can you see the accounts that are in, like, okay, let me make it so. Is there a way to easily see, well, I guess not easily, but is there a way to see like the accounts that are locking liquidity with AlgoFi right now and see who are closer to liquidation, like percentage wise? Is there a way to like
Yeah,
really?
I think they have a SDK, and you can check everything in their documentation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like there's a front end where you can click a page that says like at-risk accounts and then, find one and easily do it. You need to have technical expertise to scan their data, but you could definitely find it, and that's how people do it.
Yeah, I think it'll be a SDK or whatever. Kind of thankless job though, liquidating our brothers and sisters in Algo.
Definitely thankless, but very lucrative. Like, can't even lie. I mean, people, AlgoFi is a super useful tool, but it's not like, doesn't have the best instructions like on site. You kind of need to read all the documents and get really familiar with it to know how to use it. Like, there's notifications, oh, your account's like 90%, you should add collateral. There's no like there's no indicator. Like, if you're a noob, you may not do that well on AlgoFi, because it is like a very manual financial investment tool and trading tool, but it's powerful too. And there's a decent amount of liquidity, I think like 120 million. So yeah, I mean, with that being said, they still did about $500,000 worth of liquidations in the past week or 24 hours or something. So, it's pretty decent. And I don't know who that went to. I think they run some liquidations themselves, but there are also independent parties that do it. It's just a necessary part of the system. And I feel like as we go forward, people will build, front ends, like external front ends for liquidations on AlgoFi, so everyone can access it. I think that's actually a bounty they put out through Hack Algo. I don't think they're going to build it themselves, though. But the good thing
Just
is,
the thing about
let me just say one thing.
yeah.
Another good thing about the fact that AlgoFi doesn't have that many liquidators and that liquidating scene is not like super competitive yet is that, like Bilal said, sometimes your account can be above 100, and if it dips, if it just peaks over there quickly and then comes back down, you might be lucky and not have you might not be liquidated. Like yesterday, I
Yeah.
checked my account when the algo price was really down, and like, boy, I was up there. I was at like 98%, and I was like, oh shit. Like, but then I still had everything, so I was like, okay, like I made it through, whether it like dipped below at one point or not. I made it, and could just bring algo from another wallet into that wallet. So it's pretty easy, but it's definitely something to manage if you're using the tool. But yeah, if you want a front end for liquidations, Guard has it.
Yeah, I was very happy to, like, I was very lucky, but it's I was impressed, because I thought there would be like a liquidator from AlgoFi that runs automatically every account above 100%. But I was happy to see that it's all open source. Anybody can become a liquidator, which is really nice. And I'm happy it's also a bit more complicated. Like, so some people are just saved sometimes.
If the liquidations didn't happen, the stable would lose its peg, right?
Probably, yeah. They definitely use. Well, a lot of the liquidations happened on stable because people. If you look at the chart that I posted on my tweet, and I'll link the tweets in here, but the stable borrow, supplied borrows, I think at like 13 million, and then in the past few days or week, it kind of dipped down to like 9 or 8 million. So that's about 5 million, 4 million of dollars that people were over leveraged on. They had to somehow buy back and resupply to the platform. So, or people liquidated them and they just bought it back anyway. Yeah, if there were no liquidations, then there wouldn't be any risk for borrow stable, and it would definitely be a dangerous asset.
Yeah, I was just going to throw in a quick thing that I found last night for NFT people or whoever. There's a thing called a Twitter picker. twitterpicker.com. I don't know if you guys heard of that or not, but it's a way to pick like retweets that people have done. So for like contest winners and stuff like that, you guys probably have a better one to use, but hadn't heard of anything yet, so I thought I'd throw that out there.
Hi, Ivan. How are you doing?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the liquidations on AlgoFam. If maybe someone knows something about it, like
Yeah, go ahead.
how do they determine when, like the price of maybe Algo and like how much you have left? Is it all smart contracts or do they get it from an external source? Like how do they
determine the price of Algo?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're using the Coinbase data because there's no on-chain Oracle right now, so they externally from Coinbase.
And if Coinbase accidentally reports something wrong, what happens then?
Then probably would hit AlgoFi as well.
So
it's definitely that's why oracles are going to be really important as they come online.
So do they not have like, okay, now we can liquefy, or do they not double check it?
Double check what?
Like,
the price of Algo?
Like they have no mechanism to double check, like, okay, this is the correct.
Yeah, like a multi-source, basically, like Coinbase and Tinyman or something like that, and then average them or something.
I'm not actually sure if they've updated their system. I know when they built the initial MVP, it was using Coinbase. But since I left the team, I'm not actually sure exactly if they've updated that or gone to a multi-source system and averaged it out. So can't tell you.
Yeah, we have them here pretty frequently, so I guess maybe next week we can have this question. That's a really good question, Ivan.
Yeah, I can ask them to join next week and get them involved. The interesting thing, they've been kind of quiet, even though they're one of the biggest projects on Algorand. They've gone quiet for like, you know, in the past 3-4 weeks. So I'm curious what they're working on. I think they're probably turning their attention to governance, launching a token, and probably hiring more people. But it's interesting to see like their communication is gone mostly dark, except when I prodded them to share the statistics today.
But that's what I like about them. Like they haven't been very vocal, but they delivered every month, like at a very high pace. So it's that's one of my top projects on Algo, and because of that, they just delivered so quickly. It's amazing.
There's multiple, honestly. I've been really impressed with Pact as well. Like their app and pools and stuff with the Aeneas words and the algorithm boost, things like that. They seem to work really, really well. And at least right now, the rewards are fantastic, honestly, for some pools. It's hard not to take advantage of that while there's the reward boosts. But yeah, AlgoFi, Pact, everyone's there's some nice stuff out there.
You know, I've been really impressed with NFTs. I just wish they launched to mainnet sooner. You know, it's like taking forever.
Wait, are you channeling Fred? Where's Fred?
When token? When launch?
No token. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I just had a conversation with Para the other day. My Algo, I think the bulk of their integration work is I think done. And they've got like the UI tweaks, so hopefully we'll see that any day now. And then Para, I think they'll be a little longer. Apparently, I think they're all on vacation. I think they're taking a break after all their big changes recently. But yeah, so basically, mainnet will just be predicated on having some key integrations ready. I don't want to go live until you can truly visibly clearly like use it, and in at least in my Algo. Para will definitely be supported very, very well. but I don't know if their timeline will be short enough for us to want to wait for.
Is anybody having issues with my Algo wallet accessing all of the IDs? There's like some sort of like cutoff right now and not being able to scroll to UI, or no, I don't know what the issue is, but it's giving me
Is that
problems.
still there?
Yeah.
Sure. Like, where's the NFT resident degen? Did John drop off? Like, he would know. I don't see him.
So is anybody a PR sniffer like me with the stuff that's coming on Algorand, or is it just me?
PR sniffer?
Are you talking about the box thing?
I'm talking about the randomness coming to Algorand.
Oh, you mean transaction thing? Or no. I know
probably VRF stuff,
yeah.
or
The VRF stuff.
Yeah, I think the VRF
Can
stuff
someone
is
provide
for
context?
Algorand.
So one of the things I've been asking for a long time is allowing access to the VRF of the overall Algorand system to the smart contracts, and via a pull request, it looks like we are officially going to be getting that. So we'll be able to have a source of randomness on chain.
And what kind of applications do you imagine you can use that with?
I mean, so there, like, one of the things that we need to make sure that we are clear with, when it was like the builders of applications, is how protected of randomness you're using, to make sure that you're not putting too much value on that random number. But really, it'll be able to be used for anything from games to, randomly releasing certain things, or pretty much like any
Like a
type of
shuffle?
application. I mean, sure, shuffles, or like pretty much any time that there is any type of randomness needed on chain, this could be used for that.
I think
Right now,
Algo
if the shuffle,
use it for picking nodes.
yeah, if somebody's like, how do you know to trust the random function somebody's using on their shuffle, right? If there's no way to right now, the way that you pick random numbers, essentially, without a VRF, is you just generate a seed, and it's your own private seed, and nobody knows. That's the way you would do it if you're being honest. But in theory, you could build a random function that does whatever you want. It just appears random from the aggregated results. Right? It's like, one thing I would do if I expected a number to be random I would look at the distribution of the results, and if the distribution is uniform, meaning there's not a big bias, but just because it's uniform doesn't mean it's perfectly random, right? You can change the order that the numbers get generated, and that can really bias certain results. So VRF is important. Like if I'm playing a poker application on chain, I would not trust that unless it was a VRF. I mean, otherwise you're just taking it on faith that the person who's generating the random numbers are doing so honestly. Sorry, that's my rant about random numbers.
That's a good rant, Evan.
I feel like as a statistician, I have to that has to be a hill I can die on. I don't have too much of a value.
Someone's. All right, so I have to actually get going because I got to go bring all my kids to Run Club. So if there's anything else anybody wants from me, say something now. But if not, I really appreciate everybody listening to me rant today. And every Sunday, I'll rant about something new. Or you can shoot me a DM or anything of that sort if I can put it anyway.
Thank you, Chris.
You should rant about lies, damned lies, and statistics. And upset Evan.
I'll let Evan rant about that. I didn't drop any alpha this week though, so sorry about that, everybody. I probably had some too, just nobody asked me about it. But I'll talk to you guys all later.
You're begging to reveal it. You're begging to reveal it. Just say
Too late.
It's okay.
That was such a tease. He's like, I had alpha. I just chose not to share it with you. But had you asked, it would have been good. Trust me. By the way, see you guys next week.
Talk to you guys all later. See ya.
Bye.
Brutal.
Horrible monster.
Can somebody
Yo,
chime in about KinDAO stuff? Maybe Evan? What's going on there?
Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah, so we're quickly building the thing that we wanted to initially release, which was on-chain voting for assets, is not really feasible until Algorand releases expandable storage on contracts. So we hit a brick wall where like either A, users would have to sign every single upvote, which would be super, super annoying, like just a terrible user experience, or we wait until expandable storage, and then you can sign 10,000 at once or 100,000 at once. And the contract like it has to be on chain. I guess we could do custodial wallets, but it's like really kludgy, and we'll have to change it up anyway. So the next thing that we're trying to release as like on-chain utility for the token and actually get the project up is the search engine. So we did make some noise about the search engine. We compared it against 5 other search engines. They compared it against Coinbase's search engine on their new beta NFT marketplace, OpenSea's, and then a few other ones who were claiming to do like visual search, which is like you're actually searching for the content in the image rather than just searching through keywords in a title or a description like Elasticsearch can do. And they're all pretty bad. Right, like I did a demo that I sent out a month ago of the search engine searching all sorts of really, really difficult queries, right? Like gorilla with a green background. Like that's kind of natural language that you'd have to parse. And even that's not so bad for Elasticsearch. But if you search for something, really specific, right? Like a picture of a happy monkey with a banana on its head, right? Like Elasticsearch might struggle. Elasticsearch can sometimes struggle with really surprisingly simple queries, but this would actually search through the contents of the image, right? Visual search to give you the most relevant. And so we're also going to use that for the originality detection. And we started indexing all of ETH. So we have all of Algorand, all the Algorand NFTs, so like 500,000-ish of them that we've indexed through this like deep learning pipeline that we built, and it's crunching through Ethereum. It'll still take another like 10-ish days to get through, just because there's 100 times more NFTs on ETH than there are in Algorand, and we have to run that through a GPU every time. So I've got two 3090s cranking on it 24 hours a day, downloading all the terabytes upon terabytes of ETH data. And then we have to cache it too, because if I update the pipeline, then the encodings are going to change. And then when the encodings change, we have to change the entire search engine. So everything has to be run through a GPU at some point in the pipeline. But yeah, that's where we're at. We have a working search engine. It runs on our local machine. It runs on a like a small server that's not optimized for like users to try just yet. But I'm expecting by the end of this month we'll have at least a beta online that people can click around and try their own queries and stuff like that. And it should be able to do reverse image search as well. So if you like see a PFP on Twitter and you're not sure what the asset ID is and you don't want to bother the person by DMing them, you can copy and paste the image into the browser and it will automatically find the NFT and the asset ID and all the information and give you a nice little NFT Explorer link. So I think that those will be somewhat useful applications. And then there's a bunch of other stuff down the road that you can do with something that actually can generate like a useful interpretation, numerical representation of an image. Right? When you have that tool, then now you can start doing NFT appraisals. You can start doing not just image search, but like recommendation services for people. Right? So like these NFTs look similar. You might be interested if you like bird, right? I know Market Maker always talks about how he likes his birds, right? And then someone's like, oh yeah, but you don't have Corvus, right? He might not have remembered Corvus as a bird, right? So this thing will recommend, if it senses that you're searching for birds and you like birds and you have 3 different types of bird NFTs in your wallet, it can suggest Corvus, and then it can suggest Mingo, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I'm excited about those features coming online, hopefully soon. TM.
Ivan, can you expand a little bit about Zesbloom and NFT movies? Are they some movies coming up on the platform?
I mean, we support large file sizes, so I think that's like we aren't planning to produce any movies. We're not a studio just yet. But we do have, like, if an artist was like, here, I have a movie, can I put this on Algorand? We would 100% mint it for them and pay those fees, like, the IPFS hosting, and we would host their content, absolutely, if we had a movie. So no movies yet that I know of personally, but it's if anybody's suddenly gets the urge.
Yeah, because this month there will be the Cannes festivals, and for movies and cinema, etc. And there will be many events, and now people are very interested into this application, like directors and movie makers, actors, many people, especially like short movies. So I'm working with Trilem Art. Oh, let's bring in. Stefan. How are you, Stefan? How are you doing? Stefan, are you connected?
Yes. Sorry, there is a little lag. Yes, just wanna say hi to everyone, and yeah, for the movie, it will not be an issue, I guess, for anyone in the Algo space to handle this kind of NFTs. You just need to have some a robust IPFS node, and it should be all for everything. So it should be a really good. I mean, we should definitely try to have some movies on Algorand. And it will be the first.
Yeah, we can start, actually. We can really make it moving, and I think we will have some news soon, and I hope like you guys are ready, because many movies are coming onto Algorand.
I could make your movie right now. If you had a digital copy of it, I could do it right now.
Yeah,
so I would love to.
I will text you, actually. Yeah, I have some directors ready to jump on Algorand, so I will work with all the platforms that can create NFT movies.
My question is, interesting. You can put the movie on chain, but why?
Well, there's like
what is that
going to
do for anybody?
I mean, the main thing, I guess, is like to pay everyone on the movies. I think that's the main thing. So you sell the movies as NFTs, and each copy, or when a copy is used to be published on the TV or on cinema. I don't know how we tell it in English.
Yeah, cinema.
Okay. And when it's run, everyone gets the royalties. Everyone gets paid. I mean, it's just what we do for art. So it's the same things for movies. I think that's the main use case.
Yeah, I mean, it's in large part, it's the same use case as putting anything, and why make any art or any image or any media file on chain? All those benefits extend, in my opinion.
So there's going to be smart contracts built to distribute the royalties from the movie?
I think so, because we already do it for our platform. Like we are working with artists, and they have managers. There is someone that is here for the communication, for the press release, and etc. So we have a special escrow that will share for each NFT that is sold on our platform. It will be sent to everyone involved. So it's already something that can be done easily on layer one. So it's really on Algorand, it's really easy to do this kind of thing. It's not even a smart contract, it's just a classic logic sig.
Yeah, my friend Trilem Art are very humble, but what they're doing right now, like bridging physical and digital art with like instant payment of everybody in the team with the royalties all on chain, it's really incredible. And I'm very glad that we have such a strong team in France, based in Cannes, actually.
Yeah, so if you want to see us, we will be almost certainly on the Festival of Cannes. It will be in
Ye-
20 days.
Yes, we will. Are there other projects that I probably missed lately? Like, does anyone from the audience wants to talk about a project? I see Gnomies. How are you doing, Gnomies?
Hey, how's it going?
Awesome.
Well, I'm starting a project, but not like a project. It's just a degen cartoon that's going to lead into a project. Does that work?
Yes, it does. Tell us about it.
So I'm actually making a cartoon of the cannabis industry and the story of getting into the cannabis industry through kind of my life of getting into the cannabis industry. I'm actually Dandy Edibles. I'm also a cannabis industry company owner here in Southern California. Been in the industry for over 12 years, and I started making this little cartoon called The Nomies. I'm actually putting it on 3 different blockchains, and Algo being one of my favorite blockchains to put it on. Part of it is I'm going to be building the cartoon itself into an actual NFT drop that's going to be linked to a coin and a comic book drop. So I'm kind of working out all the details and getting things worked out before I do the NFT part of it. But on the flip side, I have a free cartoon right now available on YouTube. You guys can go watch it, view it on YouTube. Or I do have it on the Rand Gallery. If you want, I'm down to get sell it for a decent what is it, a tip. If you want to give me a tip for the cartoon, I'll send you a swap of it from so you can own a actual version of the episode itself. Just kind of mess around, enjoying the blockchain, officiating everything I'm doing through the blockchain, and making it a copyright type of situation where I own everything, all the intellectual property from the music to the characters and storyline.
That sounds awesome. Can you send me a link or post it below my post, like of this space, please? Yeah, can't wait. I will have a look definitely.
Now, I do have one question. Where would I go? Do you guys have a liquidity coin swap dex?
We have a long list of dexes, so AlgoFi, Tinyman, Pact, Humble coming back, Forks Finance. What else? Am I forgetting someone? Any dex?
Now, if I wanted to create a coin and get it registered and everything, what would be the best way to go about that?
Oh, every platform has its own process. So the Para wallet, the Algo Explorer, the Gold Seeker, the Algorand Foundation, like you have to run every verification process with each platform, basically.
Okay, awesome. I mean, if you can help me out in my DMs as much as possible, that would be awesome. So I can keep this kind of going, because I'm hoping to do a thing where I can actually create a swap between the Nomi coins on each blockchain, so you can swap them out for each blockchain coin. So you can actually be able to swap the Algo Nomi coin for the ADA Nomi coin, swap the ADA Nomi coin for the Polygon Nomi coin. So I want to be able to create that full swap for my Gnome coin.
I guess Patrick can go deeper on that, but that would probably require some bridges.
I would. That's something I'm working out with some developers on a website end, where it's just basically going to be a manual website that controls everything type of deal. But
Hey, y'all, I
other
gotta
than
log
that,
off. Hold on.
Yeah, sorry, continue, Gnomies.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I know I'm not going to do any bridges where they're going to be wrapped in any way, shape, or form. It's just going to be a simple. When one wallet confirms you sent the gnome coin to it, and you put the note in it that you want it in a certain way, it's going to confirm that note and send it into the way you want it. I'm working with some developers that could get this set up on a website.
Yeah, hopefully people trust the developers that sends the assets. That's the whole problem.
Well, I'm going to be the one in control of everything and whipping everybody into shape. And basically, I don't lie. When I put myself down and I put my name down, my face is all over the place. Dandy Edibles, my name is all over the place. I'm held for accountability. So it's one of those things. I could be sued if I lie to you guys, and you guys can find me and, hunt your money down. I don't think I'm going to lie about these type of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm joking. It's just about the decentralization ethos,
Oh yeah, I'm running a very transparent project right here. So it's one of those, you want to know anything, trust me. It's very open source, transparent. Everything is right there. Angel's actually one of my first holders of the Nomis cartoon. And I see one of my other first holders too. Thank you guys.
That's pretty cool. I would definitely check your platform and your NFTs. It sounds amazing. Do we have any other question from the audience or points you want to talk about? Like, that's the space for the community. So please jump in and make your voice be heard.
Did we figure out whether Phantom was going to be gone on Monday?
You gotta love seeing so like 3 chains all at once kind of fail hard
Flounder
all at once.
Yeah. It's a big implosion the last 24 hours.
No,
It will be
guys,
good
you
for
don't
us.
understand. They're not failing. They're super successful, and this is a demonstration of how successful they
Too
are.
strong.
It's
Too
just
strong.
marketing. It's just marketing.
Easy, Patrick. Easy.
But I mean, that's absurd. Is that they actually could have spin it that way?
It's
I don't
very
get
true.
it.
The cope on Twitter is too strong.
Yeah, I spent hours yesterday listening to people complain about gas and Ethereum and stuff like that, and I think if you took that away, everything would have been just fine for them. I just don't get it.
I just think it takes a lot of time, like, to get someone to really try to invest their time into another chain and learn about it. Like, on a technical level, to really invest is a huge time commitment. It's like you just don't want to bother. It's like easy just to kind of I guess that's the issue, right? If someone said, "Hey, you should really look at chain X right now," I'd be like, "I don't have the time," and it's just a time commitment. So someone who's truly invested in ETH, then they're kind of gonna find every possible reason there is to not move. And
Oh,
the thing
yes.
is, over time, slowly but surely, as people try algorithms, they see more things using it and moving to it, then you'll get more converts. But
Yeah, I think I'd like to see the day where we don't even have to try to convert them anymore, though, to be honest. If Algorand's going to be like multi-chain and that's the direction that we're going and stuff, like maybe we can just get to a point where we don't need to convert them. They can do whatever they want to on ETH and just, have the bridges or the decentralized bridges enough to not have to worry about them converting a certain thing.
That's fair. I mean, I guess I think it is interesting that they talk about all these so-called layer twos, right? Like Polygon. They said a layer two for ETH. I mean, it's a completely different chain, with a completely different token, but they call it a layer two. So, if they can get away with that kind of, hand wave, then maybe with the bridges to Algorand, I don't know. Maybe we can get some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I'm resigned to right now. It's like if they're going to spend hours and hours just complaining about gas fees, when really it should have taken like a tenth of a penny and been done like in 4 seconds. You're just not going to help them at that point. they're going to want to stay on the ETH chain, and and if we can create the bridges and make it multi-chain, then we'll think about them, but they don't have to worry about it. They'll just use it.
Hey, y'all, I got to log off, but it's been a great talk, so I got to jump. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody, for being here, though. Thank you so much.
Hey, better.
Y'all are the best. Much love. I'll talk to y'all
See
soon.
you. Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Peace.
but about the conversion, like we don't need to bring them from other chains because the whole crypto blockchain space is so small that we need to focus, I think, on the general public that don't even know about blockchain. There are like millions, like billions of users to be convinced instead of like trying to convince the small part of users within the blockchain industry. Like, I'm not sure
Sure.
if we are more than 50 million. Like, maybe how many people use blockchain every day? Maybe 1 million in the world or 2 millions? I don't know. I would love to have the numbers.
I think the interesting part, though, is, I mean, just like Cardano, I mean, Cardano's got some good artists on it. Solana's got some good artists. ETH's definitely got some good artists and stuff like that. So, maybe not converting them all over, but just like, getting some of their artists to come over and bring that artwork onto Algorand and see the functionality. I mean, I don't know. It'd be key, but who knows? I mean, they're kind of stuck for it, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, the artists are key to bring people to the blockchain. Yeah, totally agree.
For sure.
Yes, and also because it's completely what we are doing. But when you speak with artists, and sometimes they were already approached for Ethereum, Solana, and etc. But when you spoke about Algorand and just the non-forkable aspect and the carbon negative approach, it's, for us at least, 100% conversion from people that were already approached. So it's just enough for them because they are artists. They understand what is important for them. So the art is cannot be duplicated, and it's on a green platform. It is enough for them. So you just need to speak to an artist, and you will come to Algorand. I can assure you that it works that way. So it's really something that is easy. And as Bilal said, I mean, maybe there's 5% of the population that is on crypto, on the crypto space every day, but there is 95% that are not into crypto. So it's easier to bring someone that is not into crypto than someone that is in crypto. But I have a question. It's a technical question. I think that EVM will be, I mean, there will be some kind of EVM conversion to Algorand virtual machine. I don't know. I think I read that somewhere, but if someone can confirm this, maybe it can bring some, at least developers, maybe not complete infrastructure, but some developers to Algorand because they already know EVM because it's used in multiple chain. So maybe it's something that we can work on, trying to bridge EVM to AVM. I don't know if something is already going on, but I think I read it somewhere.
Who wants to jump on that?
I'm going to jump on it by saying I was in an ApeCoin space. Those people are delusionary. Those people are living in an echo chamber. Those people think that high gas fees are fun. Those people think that irrational exuberance is actually a good thing for the market, for crypto, for the technology. But I'm in an Algorand space, AlgoFam. And here, we think about things logically. We know that having unnecessarily high gas fees because of uncoordinated, unsophisticated smart contracts that drop NFTs at 1 second and create $12,000 transaction fees is bad. And the AlgoFam here, we're strong. We're strong because we know where we're going. We're going up to the mountain. And when we get to the mountain, to the top, there's another mountain. And when we get up to that next mountain, we keep on going because we are vigilant and resilient. But those other projects, ApeCoin is going to be a second afterthought tomorrow. And Algorand will be here after that. And we're always after that. There's never before that for us. We're always after that.
Actually, I wanted to chime in. Fabs, are you going to be at NFT NYC? Because I'm working on an event for NFT NYC. I don't know if I mentioned
I'm
this
going
last
there.
week, but
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I'm
So I'm working on an event. Actually, two events potentially, but definitely one event. So if anybody is interested in participating, attending, contributing, whatever, it's going to be pretty big. We're not finalizing some details, probably in the next week or two. So get more information.
I will be there.
Yeah,
I'll be at
information
your
on then.
event. I will expect there to be coffee and cake.
There will be open bar. There will be catered food. It will be very fun. You don't have to worry about that.
I am an otter, and I expect sushi.
Fair enough. I'll try.
Hi, Tina. How are you doing?
Do I know you, sir?
I'm good. How are you? I don't know how many I've met already in the group. I know I talked to some of you yesterday. Maybe only a few. I don't know. I saw you D40. I believe you were hosting last night, yeah? I wanted to introduce myself. I'm the partnership manager at Gotham FC, Algorand's new partner, professional women's sports team partner, and kind of new to the space and trying to immerse myself. And so I appreciate these forums. I guess a question I have for the group is just similar to the point before, right? I'm actually a former professional athlete myself in soccer, so this is very close to home for me. And kind of spending the last 3 months trying to immerse myself in the industry and understand kind of what the blockchain can do, specifically in the NFT space. Also, just seeing what it can do for artists and community building. I'd be curious. I think my greatest challenge right now and what I'm looking to get feedback from, and feel free to answer now, or honestly, you guys can DM me. I'm pretty open about it. Is just trying to understand, to your point before, is how do we adopt people into this specific blockchain? I think coming into it, I figured every blockchain work the same, and we all know that Algorand is they're not they're truly the greenest blockchain in the world and functioning as such. And I think for me, knowing that we have them in front of Jersey and a lot of our fans don't understand it, right? We get a lot of negative feedback, and I'm trying to bridge that with better education. I'd be curious. I know a lot of people in the space here are somewhat experts and are passionate about this, but I think there's a lot to be said about how do we get people to understand it and really just give it an opportunity before they judge it as what public perception has created it to be today. So I'd be curious
Well,
your thoughts on
I would
just like
say my response is Algorand is not only the people's chain, it is America's chain.
yeah
We have to develop our continued focus on Algorand being the cult of the future of blockchain. We don't let outsiders into this fam unless they believe in us.
yeah
And we're not going out there and trying to say Algorand is as good as another project. That's not true. Algorand is better than every other project.
Just
And
add,
what keeps me going is hate. I hate other projects. I hate them. And I will continue fighting this war through the trenches,
this is,
through the mud, into the snow.
I
And I'm not
appreciate
going to stop.
your patriotism, Jimmy. I really do. I think just to add my 2 cents, what part of what you're seeing right now, in my opinion, is that the barrier to entry to blockchain is incredibly high. And so once you've crossed that barrier, like there's no desire to cross it again and again and again into different chains. And so there's that, plus like right, like the early investors, right, like the fact that they feel attached and they have like a financial responsibility to not only make their blockchain team the best, but actively disparage other ones. So like all that stuff is very vocal, but it comes from the fact essentially that there's a high barrier to entry, right? Like you don't have to convince people to try Gmail by showing them a white paper, right? They try Gmail because it just works. It's just fast. It's easy. It's the best thing to use.
Exactly.
And until it became that clear of a difference, Gmail had to try to market and do everything to get people try them for the first time. But that how hard it is to convince people to try it for the first time is going to be like a large factor in how widespread adoption grows. So I think that like what really needs to happen is there needs to be, I agree with Chris, who was here earlier, saying that like there hasn't been something on blockchain yet that's changed the average person's daily life yet, right? Like NFT applications aren't there yet. The transactions aren't there yet quite. But like, you know, once that happens, then I think it'll be really easy for the average person to try different blockchains and just see what has the best user experience.
But
And that's
I don't believe that. I
to be
always
honest,
believe that if you own crypto, you're in the in group. You're in the in group, just like if you own an iPhone back in 2006. It means that you're part of the club of people who are in the know about where the world's going. You're part of the civilized world. And if you own Algorand, you're not just part of the civilized world, part of the elite club of one percenters. That is what we need to make in terms of our marketing strategy. That unless you are part of this movement, you are nothing.
yeah, but
Strong
Jimmy,
disagree.
one thing I disagree is that it's true that Algorand can be seen as like the American or whatever, but the reality is that we as Westerners, like living in France or US, we don't really
But Chile's
need
an
to use
American, man. That's an
blockchain.
American soccer team.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But what I mean is that when you are unbanked, the easiest blockchain to use and the cheapest to use, like that's what you're looking for. And Algorand really does the job. Like when you need to use a blockchain, you can just try the wallet and send transactions and try the DeFi. And like to me, it's clear that for Africa, like the fees, the transaction fees are so important that which blockchain would you choose? Like Algorand is like comes number one for the obviously the speed,
Yeah, but
transaction
she
speed,
lives in
etc.
the U.S. Most Americans don't care about Africa, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I don't. I think the whole thing of like we're the 1% is absolutely never a message I think anyone wanted to use for Algorand.
Well, you know
Like,
what?
ever.
Apple used it, and all successful companies who do good marketing,
No,
they are able to market their products
disagree.
as
I
the
mean,
best
like we're
products
the
that if you get
1% would
them,
be
you're
like the
also in the
Ethereum
group.
people. Like,
Hey,
yeah, like
Tina.
that's
Yeah.
more like, hey, who cares if you spend $5,000 for gas? Like, what are you? You know, you're poor. Screw you. Like that's the ETH sort of mantra, right? I mean, like Algorand, you know, the 0.001 algo for transaction fee. It's a good efficient chain that's inexpensive to use. Like to say that there's only like elite people should use that I hard disagree. It's not a message I would ever want to put out.
Well, that's one of the reasons why you're not in charge of marketing, dude. Because if you were actually successful marketing, realize the message people always put out is that you need to be part of the elite group. And you know what? It's a very successful and powerful message.
Okay, I guess anyone who can speak is welcome to speak up if they agree. I mean, I guess we could vote. I don't think we're gonna get a lot of agreement on that one.
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of get to the question, though. I mean, Tina, one thing that I think we've seen kind of good luck with or good results from and stuff like that is like Angel, he made like an onboarding doc or an onboarding site that people could just go to and kind of go through step by step to get started or set up their first NFT or something like that. I mean, you know, that might be something you can use to help kind of
I mean, we're going to do a
get people in there.
sophisticated FAQ and marketing
Cool.
platform and program to make sure that the thing that gets me is I think you don't want to exclude people, right? The minute you exclude people, they're unwilling to. And I can speak specifically on women's soccer fans and really a lot of sports fans on the minority side of things. So women's sports generally, it's actually ironic to me because I feel like there's all this negativity, but there's a space here for inclusivity that doesn't necessarily exist in other financial institutions. And so to your point before, I think this is by far the best blockchain. That's the message that needs to come across. And those low fees make it available to almost anybody. Where if you were to go somewhere else, you know, you may not even have the funds to properly play the game in a way.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
yesterday was a perfect example. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
Sorry,
like
Tina.
no, it's fine. I think that's where I'm coming from is like, you know, I'm, watching the sports sector of things, right? The blockchain does so many different things. We're one small piece of the pie. But like as a woman specifically and supporting other female athletes that make 1/100th of a normal professional athlete's salary. There's opportunities here, similar to artists that are trying to make a name for themselves, to really promote themselves and promote a brand in a serious way. And I'm seeing it. I've talked to a bunch of different people that are, to your point, right? This is so ever evolving in the NFT space. We're not nearly efficient enough yet to like say that it's like a sophisticated Gmail. I feel like we're kind of like the AOL, if you wanted to give an analogy. But like, there's
Ouch.
say it again.
I just say it ouch.
No, I mean, like, I'm only saying that in the sense of like not the platform, the blockchain. I'm just saying like in the sense of like we're only
Timeline?
touching the surface of what NFTs can become and what they can
Right, right.
symbolize and what they can tokenize and like what experiences, right? It's not
Yeah.
there. I mean, NFTs
Ew.
alone are going to be valuable, not even just from like ownership standpoint, but what do they give you a point of entry? Do they represent something greater? Do you now, you know what I mean? Like in a perfect world, we could start making the process so legitimate that like it could symbolize a ticket, right? Like there's
Yeah, I
certain
mean,
countries
I
right now
understand.
that are giving out healthcare as NFTs. Sounds crazy, but
Absolutely.
so that was only my
That's
point
awesome.
is like coming from this, I like getting into these groups and chatting with you guys because you guys understand it and you're in it. And my biggest challenge right now is like, you know, Joe Schmo on the side of the street in New York City who immediately has this negative connotation for what the blockchain exists as. I have to, you know, it's not even like convert them to, I just have to get them into a wallet and see if they'll play around. Like you can't have too big of goals where you're trying to make people do all these different things. It's like just feel it out, do some reading, do some research, maybe buy $50 worth of algo and see what it does and play around. You know what I mean? Like I think you have to start really small with people. And see, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if, I mean, that's the goal, right? I want to convert people into
Totally
seeing
agree.
the
Yeah.
power of this.
Yeah. Just sending one algo to the people you know can do wonders. Like just make them download the Para wallet, send
Yeah.
them one algo, and that's it. That's already done. And educating, explaining how to use, like, and then we can buy algos and USDC straight from the Para wallet. Also makes it completely decentralized from the get-go. It's pretty easy actually. You just
I
need
think
to
you
talk to
could
people.
have somebody download the app at the game and then put a QR code up on the screen and have them screenshot it and give away a few NFTs.
You already
Something
stole
like
my
that.
idea. You're going to
Oh,
come to
there
a
you
game? We're
go.
doing scavenger hunts.
That's the way to go. But the
Yeah,
kickback you're
yeah.
getting isn't just about Algorand specifically. It's just blockchain in general. People are adverse to change, I think, right? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think for us, like, I mean, honestly, like it's the minute I write NFT, I get like, we get harassed off the bat and it's very confusing because like I mean, truthfully coming into this, I was like, okay, let me really come in and see what it's about. I had no experience in the space prior to the partnership. And I'm still a little confused. I guess that's just like public perception, right? And like I said, I think like unfortunately some bad players in the space have kind of set a narrative and just like generally false information, which happens all the time with things that are new. But yeah, it's I don't honestly it's a very I'm to the point, right? How long has it been? A few years maybe? Like this is so new. I'm still kind of like doing my own research in the ecosystem to say like, okay, why is there so much negativity that surrounds these topics and things, especially in the algorithm space? Like I think that's part of what I feel like is my job is to say and teach why Algorand is different. Like we are fortunate enough that out of all the cryptocurrency companies that could have partnered with us, I truly believe we are with the best. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to all you guys. I've done enough research and I've talked to the right people to know that. And I'm not even an expert. I've been in the space for a few months, right?
That's awesome. There are, well, we just missed Algo HQ. He just logged off, but he produces a lot of content. I produce a lot of content. I won't speak for him, but I'm happy to be a resource for you. You know, just gratis if you want to reach out and just bounce some ideas off. I know
I
you've got
appreciate that. I think that's
contacts.
what I'm looking for is like just people, because like obviously people in our organization we're soccer experts, right? And marketing experts. We're not, and it's always good to hear from you guys again, like DMs are open. I really appreciate how inclusive the community's been. And I hope you guys can all support us as we go through this NFT program this year. It's going to be really fun and different, and it's going to be slow and steady, but I always say the more positive voices that come out, it kind of dims the negative. So we're moving forward with it. It's going to happen. It's just, I'm trying to be very methodical about how we do it.
FYI, you've got to hold me back so I can DM you.
I have to. Oh yeah, I got you.
And Tina, every Sunday we're here. So every Sunday, 1 p.m. New York time, jump in with the people from your community, the team, and that I think we can make a difference just by being consistent and by talking about everything blockchain, algorithm, and educating the newcomers.
Yeah, I think just so you guys know, and I don't know what the best forum is for this, but I hope in the future, right after our first drop and as we kind of progress, I'm always open to feedback. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to be perfect in our approach. We're going to do the best we can. And so just having spaces like this, I want you guys to feel, open to give me feedback as to how you think it's going and your thoughts. And so I'm hoping to, in the future, I'm happy to host, if Twitter you think is the best space, I'm happy to do that on my part and kind of just hear from the algorithm community as to how they think the partnership's going and how we're working through the NFT program. That's always helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, you're always welcome. Thank you for
Thanks, guys. Yeah,
joining
I
me.
keep
But
jumping in all the groups and talking, but
every
I appreciate it.
Sunday you jump in like everybody here. Like we have the best minds on the algorithm ecosystem. Noya, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I just wanted to talk about so I have a brother, right? And he's kind of like a soul maxi. And since it went down last night, I got him to set up like a my Algo wallet. I sent him like 50 algos. But and then try to show him how good the space was, and I wasn't trying to push it too hard on him because the harder you push, the more people reject. So I kind of just let him have free reign to like do what he does. Showed him some good because he's really into like flipping NFTs and stuff. But then like his biggest downside coming from Soul especially is like we have like very few like high end like blue chip projects. So as soon as like it was back up, he just went right back. But I hope I planted that little seed so he comes back, but I really don't know yet.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like we need to have like great creators on chain, like with their products, like it can be movie, music, arts.
You can say the most random and obvious stuff. Obviously, we need good creators, but we just need to have a belief in the triumph of our will. You know what I mean? And the truth is, people aren't coming to this project right now because people get paid to go to Solana. Alameda Research invests between $50 to $125 million per project that comes on Solana. We don't have that. So you can't just say it.
Jimmy, I love your spirit. Like seriously, we need you every Sunday. Seriously, I love your
I'm tired of you laughing at me. I'm an otter.
Oh man, you're so good. You're so good. Please continue. I love it.
No, Bill, but I agree. The problem with blockchain in general is the problem of design. Solving the last mile problem to onboard the masses. And that's a problem with every blockchain. And the moment we start bringing in design into, the art and music experience, into the, sports experience, then, we don't care about the small crypto community. We're going to care about the masses coming in. And, so far, it's been a very elitist. But to Jimmy's point, I get his point on Apple, right? So Apple is very sought after, quote unquote, very exclusive, but it's used by millions and millions of people because they show to the
world, high margin luxury good.
Yeah, it's almost like, but through design, that's what we have to show, right? So that, a musician goes in, uploads the song, and that's what we're trying to do. And he pays minimal fees, and it's a beautiful experience, and he puts it on the marketplace, and then he can tell all his friends, and it's going to be so easy to go in and listen to the music. Try to listen to music that you bought on OpenSea. It's like 7 clicks. You give up after, one time. So that's what we should focus on and build, maybe partner with design companies. That's the missing piece that no blockchain is tackling today.
Yeah, good point. Gnomi, you had something to add?
Well, I just wanted to add to the blockchain conversation that I've noticed that it's more progression in companies because it takes a very progressive mindset to really look into doing stuff like this because not a lot of people want to do it. I heard it the other night when I was listening to a space and somebody brought up the fact that their father is an old-time businessman and she's into NFTs, and all of a sudden her dad's getting into NFTs and doing stuff with her, but her mom's over sitting in the other room telling them, I don't understand what the fuck you guys are talking about. I don't understand what you guys are doing. This all doesn't make sense. This is stupid. You're talking about buying properties on the internet and you guys are talking about it. Why don't you go buy a real house so we can live in a better home than we do now instead of going on the internet buying these properties? And they're over there going, Mom, if you just understood, you would understand why we're buying properties on the internet. Then it's just became this, I'm sitting there laughing my ass off thinking it really is a progressive mindset to even look at a blockchain, to think of it as a way to progress your business or progress anything you're doing in your life. So it's very different for a lot of people to think about because there's in such a way that it's like, what do you mean I can't just go to Ace Hardware or go to Stater Brothers or go to some random store and pick this up? What do you mean I can't just set that picture as my PFP? I like that picture. I'm just going to set it as my PFP. What do you mean I have to buy it first? What? Property rights? Shut up. I'm going to right click save.
I think that the people, who don't understand it, I think NFTs, you could kind of get them kind of dip their toe into it to kind of equate it to almost like trading cards, like they might understand that. But the main thing is just trying to get something that resonates with them in the past and then get them started on it. And like, Tina, as far as like Gotham, I think there's lots of opportunities for you to do kind of interesting things with your fans, right? Like you could have a mechanism for fans to like scan QR codes or something like that, throughout the stadium or just random
Yeah.
places. You could just have, you
Oh
have
yeah. I mean, we're
posters out
gonna.
on the subway or something, right? And then the fans could have those NFTs as a part of subsequent fan engagement where it's like, hey, if you have this NFT, then, you'll get this piece of physical merch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like a
So
subsequent game.
I love that you're saying this, Patrick, because this is literally my plan. So I'm happy to hear that because, yeah, I mean, we're going to do a bunch of stuff because I don't want to exclude parts of the community too that don't live in New York or New Jersey and can't make it to a match.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, speaking of
But
which, I ordered my Gotham Algorand jersey last night. By the way.
awesome. Well, we're going to have a bunch more
They're
stuff
sweet.
coming out. But to your point, Jimmy, if you're in New York, let me know. I'll get you a ticket to a match. I love your energy. We need that kind of energy in stadium, that kind of fandom.
I'm the kind of person who creates an ultra
Except for that
group
1%
and doesn't
part.
stop until all the other fans are either dead or crying for their mama.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I want Jimmy here
Do you want
every
to
Sunday.
walk that back?
Oh
I've
my
been to
God.
jail just because I love Algorand so much.
Yeah, and I
Wow.
appreciate that. And
Jimmy, we
Algorand's
need to get you a
great.
team, man.
Yeah.
We need to get you a
No.
team.
I will say though, to
Well,
the Apple point, it's interesting because that's kind of what I'm, tackling in my head, right? Like as an artist, you need to value your work at a certain level, depending on, the rarity and I think like similarly, this, the scarcity model always helps, right? The less you have available, the more unique the product, and therefore the more people seek it, right? Like we all get convinced of, you know what I mean? There's so many things in the world that you probably purchase. You're like, why did I buy this? But it's 1 of 10 or 1 of 100. And you feel extra special in doing so. And so I think that's also part of it is just like understanding your value, whether it's a musician, artist, and making, going through that process of saying, okay, like, how many people want these? How do I scale it properly? Like, there's so many things to consider. And hopefully, to your point about Apple, maybe there is a way in the future that Algorand can exist as the premium blockchain, but also gets to a point where it's not. I think the difference is that if you don't want it to get so exclusive to the point where there's no entry for people that, like, nowadays Apple products are expensive, but like when you think about cost of living, like a lot of people can afford to get like an Apple Watch. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at the iPhone. Like, it's everywhere, especially now. Like, who knows the I think that's the piece that I'm held up on. Like, it's not to say you don't want Algorand to be considered the best. It's just like you don't want to make it so 1% that people think it's elitist, and you can't join it if you're someone who makes, you know, less than $100,000 a year and wants to partake in the community and do cool shit on the blockchain, if that makes sense.
To me, I see like Apple, the revolution was about the user experience that came first.
Yeah.
And I think with Algorand, we have the best user experience in terms of like some platform, like the wallet, and even now, like we with my friends at Alti, we launched like Algo's Fame and USDC on WhatsApp, on Telegram, to make it very easy to send and to receive, in Discord too. And I think at the end of the day is the people won't care much about the blockchain. They won't study it, but they will go for the easiest user experience. For now, they just go for the best marketing, like the best hype. But I think the user experience will win it all at the end. But it's a work in progress. People just need to try it. I think just trying the technology and the ecosystem, the tools, the DeFi is the best test. And
so then that brings up a question for me. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. You go.
Oh, I just had a question. So part of what I'm building today, I was working on it, was like we're probably gonna like because we're with Algorand, we'll probably exist. I mean, you guys will have your own wallets and be able to take the NFTs where you'd like, but for newbies, I want to just basically walk them through the para wallet process of just like, here's how to get I literally have to do a campaign just to get people to understand like the wallet and how to get an account on there. What do you guys think right now exists as the greatest barrier for, like, you know, did you have that? I mean, maybe it's probably changed in the iterations of the app or other apps, but like, I'm trying to, you know, think forward and saying, okay, if I don't know anything about the blockchain, but I'm very interested in the team and I want to get, you know, be part of these incentive programs and see how I can get a piece of merch as well as some other stuff that'll come with the collection. What do you think my greatest challenge will be as someone marketing that, in terms of the most challenging part with the wallet, right? Because like I know with others,
the passphrase comes first to mind.
Words, yeah.
The passphrase, yeah. Passphrase is number one. So having people like protecting the passphrase, like managing the passphrase, is the hardest part for everybody, not only beginners, but even big institutions. They have to invest a lot to protect, obviously, the tokens. So that would be my first response. But please, Patrick, you wanted to go ahead? Anyone wants to add something?
I'm sorry. Did you say Patrick? Did you say me, Bilal?
Go, Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say like 100%. I mean, so the passphrase is definitely a huge thing. Like, one thing they did is the Crypto Cabana in Miami, which there's pros and cons to it, is actually it's a lot of huge cons, but they were handing out like QR code. They were handing out QR codes.
Yep.
That basically were pre-seeded wallets.
Yeah.
You
I just don't. I can't manage that many. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, it was like, here's a wallet that has one algo, or whatever, and you could use Para Wallet to scan that code and import the passphrase, and then you would like shred that QR code, and you hope that whoever generated them doesn't have copies, right? So it's like really kind of dicey long term. but that's a huge issue. Opting the assets is an issue, but there's ways you can have like a QR code take you to a page that has you opt in, and then you
Yeah,
retrieve the
just so you know,
asset.
so I mean, no shock here. We're not going to be, I'm not selling right away. I don't think that's the smart move in terms of early, like, adopters. First of all, they want them to be symbols of art, and I'm not necessarily focused on commercializing them off the bat. I think like the importance here is to build a community in the space and use Gotham as that kind of bridge. But that's my greatest challenge right now is kind of selling on the fact that, like, as much as the 25 word code is kind of a bitch to deal with, it's like it's very important. Like, I don't know if I'm wrong here, but isn't that kind of one of the advantages from a security standpoint of why Algorand does well, is like it's one of the more secure blockchains, or am I incorrect in saying that?
No, like that passphrase is literally is the private key, basically,
Yeah.
for the wallet. So it's going to be the same on every blockchain. So that's literally called your mnemonics.
Is that consistent across the board? Again, sorry, I just haven't used other.
Yeah,
is that
every
consistent
blockchain you'll have that.
Wallet?
It'll be every blockchain will be the same. It'll have like 12 words, less secure, 24 words usually, and then Algorand 25. But you'll always have that with every blockchain. And it's just whether or not how much that's hidden from you, or whether it's like if you're using a wallet that just doesn't even show you, but it's always there.
Yeah.
But I have to go real quick. I'll just say like one real another quick idea for you is that you could do things with the fans where holding anyone who will hold certain assets, you could have like NFTs that represent the players, and then you could do things that based on events in the game, like during the game, you could have NFTs or more of certain NFTs sent to people's wallets based on the assets they have, like based on the players involved in the play. If they had those players NFTs in their wallet, they would automatically get like more of a certain coin that was like, player points or whatever, and you could track that over time.
Yeah, a kind of proof of event can be built for the soccer events, but there's so many ideas, Tina. I think if you want to talk with Patrick, Monty, or myself, whenever you want, we can, as ambassadors, as Algorand ambassadors, we can definitely
we could take it offline.
brainstorm.
There's so many ideas. It's more so
There's
starting
so many.
walking
Yeah, it's
before I run
insane.
is kind of the thing.
And
yeah.
Tina, I'll DM you too, because we've done a lot of design too, so I'm happy to.
Yeah, please,
give you some
anyone. I'm very open to talking with the community. So
Yeah.
thanks again for
We
having me.
went completely custodial wallet for us, because we didn't want the regular user to come on board and immediately deal with this 25 passphrase. So let's see how that goes. There might be looking at partnering with Fireblocks so that we don't offload the custody of those wallets there. But that's the design option, the road that we took. And then eventually, as people become more savvy, then they can take back their wallet, right? So, but that's on our roadmap.
Yeah, that's a great way to solve it. And there are also projects that the user won't have to manage their keys unless they want to when they get used to it. So like Alti is a really good company working on that and making crypto very easy. Just you can transact on WhatsApp, Telegram, Discord without managing your private keys, and they can definitely build something for you. There are so many ways, actually. There are so many things to do. But yeah, it's very exciting for the Gotham team.
The one thing I wish like Parawallet would do, and I think there was a PR sent in for the Algorand wallet when it was existed, just to make, like, I know it's less secure, but it's always a stumbling block having to have people write down that 25-word passphrase right out of the gate. Like, it'd be nice to just be able to create an account, and then they can come back later on and write down that account number. because you're kind of in the onboarding process and you're like, okay, well, now get a pen and paper or pencil and paper and write down that password for it, or your private keys and stuff. And it's kind of a, one way they could be done in 10 seconds. The other way, it's like, okay, find some paper, find some pencil, do that side of things. I mean, MetaMask does a similar thing where, they just create an account and they say, hey, come back, this is way insecure, you shouldn't do this, but if you want to, we're going to let you do it.
Yeah, that's the very basic problems, but those are the most important because we need to onboard like so many newcomers. And yeah, thank you, Jeremy. That would be a great idea, actually.
For sure. Another thing that was brought up, like locally here, at least with sports and stuff, is like, they have like I don't know what you'd call it, like a football club or something like that. Obviously, just using NFTs as kind of like a pass to have like talking about your more exclusive club type of thing or whatever. I can see that being used kind of like that as well. If you hold this NFT, then you're part of the upper block or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but
yeah, well,
I think
we're
you
gonna
get the
have
idea.
exclusive NFTs for our season ticket holders. That's like the start for
Yeah.
us. We'll see how that
There you go.
transgresses. But I think that's a good point too. Just like finding unique ways to. I mean, my being transparent, I would love to make it like an option for actual tickets. It's just there's a lot of integration. It would take a while for us, just being a women's team and having to deal with Ticketmaster and others that just haven't really adopted the blockchain yet, and we already have existing relationships with. I think that's the greater challenge right now. It's just like I said, there's just so much. I even have to like there's certain community initiatives that I'm trying to run because I think again, like you guys saw it with what the Algorand Foundation did in regards to Ukraine. Like there's really impactful things beyond just like monetization and owning of work that happens in the blockchain, but there's so much good that could come out of it from like a support standpoint. And which is why I think the general narrative has to shift and people have to become more educated in the space because so many, nonprofits are very, very, they're just hesitant to even allow us to kind of loop them into certain things just because, like I said, there's just this real false narrative and they don't understand it. So they assume like it's a commercial play or scheme or something just to promote, a cryptocurrency or blockchain or whatever. And they just, you know what I mean? And they just don't get it.
Yeah, totally. Like blockchain came from a very dark area, let's be honest. And it's just in the last recent years that we brought those kind of projects that are more ethical and eco-friendly and serious too, like that can be scalable. And we are, especially I think with Algorand, we are just at the beginning of a new era for blockchain. So yeah, we are the pioneers and I love this idea. We've been running for 3 hours, my friends. Like that is a very long one. I think it's the longest ever. 3 hours from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. here in France. Do we have any other questions before we wrap it up?
Good topics as always. I'm glad everybody stops by and finds something to talk about and take away from these things.
Yeah, we hear every Sunday, and it's always a continuing conversation. We always need to educate, to learn from one another, and I guess we can say bye-bye and talk to you next Sunday. Same time, 1 p.m. New York, 7 p.m. Paris. And have a nice week, my friends. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Monty. Thank you, Glomis. Thank you, Tina. Thank you,
Goodbye,
Stefan.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Patrick. Bye, my friends. See you soon. Take care.
Bye.